Thank you for the playlist, Amacius. Let's blast off. There's a lot going on. We're gonna be talking about Israel. Netanyahu announces to take control of Gaza. Netanyahu announces taking over Gaza. Right-wing MAGA girlies drama. What is this? You gotta watch the Tucker Carlson interview with Tony Aguilar. Response to attacks after exposing Israel's war crimes in Gaza. Yeah, maybe. Probably not. But Cutie said you bullied her out of looking hot. Wait, what?
Saw Tina Kitten's fit. She posted it on Instagram. You guys have to see. It is the most like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you're wearing this. This is iconic.
I got bullied out of that look.
What? No, you didn't.
Yeah. Ask stupid ass Hassan and Will Neff.
Wait, no. Surely they were being supportive.
They were being, but like too supportive.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. I guess men can't do anything right. God damn, dude. God damn, dude. What is this? What is this, bro? Yeah, we were being too supportive. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. What the hell, dude? What the hell? Lights, fire, under. Did you even say do it, lady? You made it weird. Oh my God, bro. I did not make it weird.
No.
Stop.
Yeah. Too supportive.
I walked into Fear and I was wearing low cut cargos and I had the G-string over the hip bones. Yes. And I walk in and they're like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Like, okay, little hoe. And I was like, oh God. And so then I was like, oh. But Tina pulled it off well, and I hope she never stops. And I hope, thank God, I guess Hassan was there, but Will wasn't there. They didn't bully her to submission.
We did not bully. We said this. We said to her the same shit that I said to Tina, which was awesome. My opinion of you changed after this. Honestly is the best policy. Boo Hassan. We literally said I said to Tina the same things I said to Cutie Cinderella, which was support. Okay, maximum support. And I don't know. There's no winning. There's no winning. There's no winning. There's no winning. You said you called her a hoe. No, that's her assessment. This is not what we said.
I'll never do it again.
Talking about the fit, though. He was like, Tina, what is going on with the fit? Hot Girl Summer. When I saw...
Yeah. You were supporting too hard. God damn, bro. And Chicago tomorrow with Rashida Tlaib. Get in now. Admire silently. Jeez. I guess we can't do anything out here, dude. What the hell? I'm a meninist now. I'm a meninist now, bro. I'm a meninist. It's over. That's it. One of my friends would not watch you because she thought you were anti-Semitic. I told her to watch your videos, and my girl Leslie is now a Hasanabi girl. Hell yeah. Shouts out to Leslie. That's so funny that people do actually believe that. Did she even want your support to begin with? Did she give her consent to you? No, she did not. Clearly, she did not want my support. Okay. I do know that, like, shit gets lost and the wires get crossed online. Just so you understand, like, this is joking. I'm joking. Cutie is my friend. So is Ray. You know, these are jokes. Okay, this is not like real animosity. Oh my God, drama. We're gonna shoot a podcast tonight. So I showed my mom your videos, and she watches every day while she cooks. Hell yeah. Mr. Beast is confirmed to be a Mossad psyop plant. Yeah. He's a Mossad psyop plant, dude. Wow, you cracked it. You solved the case, man. You cracked the puzzle. You solved the puzzle. You cracked the case. You did it. Mr. Beast and Mossad in the same sentence is crazy. Yeah. Have you seen the latest TikTok attack campaign against Zoran? This is not. This is old. This is from before the primary. Just letting you know you're well loved in hospitality. We appreciate your voice. Hell yeah. I applied for an HR job at Mr. Beast for the plot. Bro, stay away from the settler majority caucus at convention. What? Okay, stop. Bro, do not hang out with the settler majority caucus. Stop. No inside memes about DSA is allowed, at least for while we're going to convention, okay? I'm going to investigate the truth about what it is to be a socialist by going to the DSA convention tomorrow in Chicago. The keynote speaker, of course, is Rashida Tlaib. I'm going to be interviewing her after We'll learn about the inside caucuses within the DSA, with the structures within the DSA a little bit. You know, it'll be fun. It'll be fun stuff. I'm gonna be there. So is Emma Vigeland. So obviously I'm gonna hang out with Emma as well. A majority report. I feel like this is one convention in Chicago that I will not be ejected from, even though every single time I've been to Chicago, some stuff has happened. DNC ejected. Last time I went to Chicago, got detained at O'Hare Airport. Who knows what events will, who knows what is going to happen to me this time. Okay. Yes, I'm taking Marchie Poo with me as well. Wemby liked this post on Instagram about how the super wealthy are ruining France. The video explains how billionaires don't pay their fair share in taxes.
Voilà à quoi ressemblent les inégalités de richesse.
Bro. I need the Wemby Connect. I need it. That's it. I need it, bro. I need it. Dude, he is the GOAT. He's the new meta. He is the new method. He is the new method. Hey man, is it true that LA's been having protests 24/7? I've been seeing a lot of videos about it. Shut the fuck up. I posted about this in the Discord earlier today, and this is something when I come back from Chicago, I'm planning on investigating myself, because that's a TikTok that I saw as well, and it like freaked me out a little bit. And I don't know if I'm like being a boomer. I don't know if I'm being a boomer or what, if it's real or not. But like, apparently there's a massive protests that are taking place outside of the ICE facility still, and TikTok is like actively suppressing it or something. That's what they were saying, but it showed up on my For You page, so I guess technically it's not suppressed. I don't know, but I didn't know, like, the media has not been covering it at all, which I think is interesting. Yes, I pass by it often. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, where I favorited it, I believe. This is another thing that I favorited that I'm gonna be looking at too. Hold up. Small groups have been there every day. Multiple people have been detained. Yeah, there's like 24/7 Portland one too, but that makes sense. That's Portland, you know? That's just Portland. Where is it? Okay, I didn't like it. I didn't like that post. I can't find it. Okay, whatever.
There is a civil war brewing.
They had a 24-hour one too in LA. Yeah, anti-Trump protesters marching in downtown LA as a part of nationwide rage against the regime rallies. No, but that's like August 2nd, you know? And it hasn't had like the same amount. There's a couple different things that I feel like are not, I guess, like not meeting the standard of newsworthiness that it once did. Massive protests against ICE is one of those things, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why massive protests, mass mobilization against ICE is not reaching the standard of newsworthiness that it once did. Okay. And it's odd. The other thing that's odd is like, apparently there was a dude who fought in the IDF, an American who went to serve in the IDF to do fucking war crimes. And like someone torched his car, and it was in the news briefly, but like no mass condemnations, no like classic, this is anti-Semitism, all this stuff that normally would have happened. And I think part of that is because I'm beginning to think that the reason why they don't want to talk about it is because they don't want to create copycats. Like they realize that when they talked about it at first, with like a couple of the incidents, I assume that they thought that they could get like Israel could get like a good coverage out of this, you know, garner sympathy out of this or something. But the torch car was one of the things Cuomo was bitching to AOC about. Yeah. But then instead of like the condemnations, like the round of condemnations, they heard cheers only. So I suspect, I suspect that they're not doing it anymore. They're not really covering it anymore. CBS was at the Rage Against the R protest and wasn't trying to show the true scale of what's happening. ABC7 was following us too, but they kept focusing on the tent. Do you see the Ice Speedway Slammer post that used an AI image of Pato O'Ward, who was Mexican IndyCar driving with Ice branding? No, I did not. This is from yesterday. It's not always like this, but it's always populated. Dog earning her keep by farming engagement. Good girl. Yeah, that's why she got up real quick. New Matt Bernstein interview with the transgender girl who refused service in the IDF and was in prison. That's 55 minutes. We're probably not going to look at that. Yeah, I've been there a couple times. PSL had a national week of action and people had been there all week. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that's like also constantly unfolding, but it causes people, to assume that that like nothing is going on when things are going on, you know? That's why liberals will always be like, oh, where are the protests against Hassan only goes to DSA stuff? That's not true. What the fuck are you talking about? All the major protests that were put together by PSL. Like the ones where I got shot at were PSL protests. The fuck? Anyway, what I'm saying is like this is part of the reason why people go, why is the left not protesting against Trump now that Trump is in office? And it's like, first of all, you're not protesting, okay? You're not. You're literally not. You're spending all of the time that you have instead of like shitting on Trump. You're the one who's like shitting on the left still, who is basically the backbone of any kind of resistance against the Republican administration at this point, you know? It was just so stupid. It's just, and the only reason why you're bringing up the left is to launder your immoral perspectives on this. Like, is to basically say, well, I don't want to do anything, and here's why. Okay, there were raids yesterday again at Home Depot with ice coming out of the Penske truck. Yeah, I saw that. For all the things going on, liberals can still only point at the left. They have smoke for the left. No, but that's not. For the record, those are not the what do you call it? Those are not the fucking the broader movement. You know what I mean? That's not like those people are just like online. They're the extremely online version. You know how like the Hammer Sickle Twitter will be like, sometimes they'll say like Zoran is not sufficiently anti-Zionist, like he's actually an op or something, right? Like that's the liberal version of that. The liberal version of like an extremely online person is the person who's just like, the left is actually responsible for Kamala Harris's defeat and we will never forgive them. And that's why I became a right winger. Like those people do not represent like a broad movement. Okay. They don't. They're just chirping. They're just chirping to the wind. Okay. That's it. Those like the average liberal, in my opinion, the average like liberal Y mom looks at the events that are unfolding and is not thinking about how this is the left's fault. They're looking at the events that are unfolding and thinking, this is horrifying. Okay? This is horrifying. We must put a stop to this. Why are the Democrats not doing anything? Okay? That is the average liberal's perspective here. Why does Hassan always suck Zorhan's dick? Like, this is what I mean when I say, like, people are being fucking extremely online, obtuse, and out of their fucking minds. That's what I'm talking about. This is Zorhan. What do you think about Trump firing 5 members of the federal board overseeing Puerto Rico, and what consequences will that have on the Puerto Rican population? Dude, I have no idea. Did you see Dean Kane's ad for ICE? Yeah, I don't even care about that. Who gives a fuck? Can you talk more about commie Twitter disparaging Zoran at every moment over perceived capitulation? No. Do you want to know why I don't talk about that? Do you want to know why I don't talk about that? Because I don't care, and neither should you. Okay? These are some of the most avoidable people. Okay? These are some of the most, like, who gives a fuck people. They are even less relevant than annoying liberals are, because at least liberals have institutional power and they have their voices heard on mainstream outlets. No one, and I mean this with all sincerity, no one is listening to a Hammer Sickle Twitter account, okay? No one. So spending any moment like yelling at a Hammer and Sickle Twitter account that is otherwise aligned with my worldview is the most unproductive thing I could possibly do. That's it. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't like left bash in general. It's so dumb. There is no power on the left. There is no institutional representation for the left. Okay? The most leftist position that you will ever encounter in American politics is going to be a liberal still, is going to be, even if it's a socialist, is going to be a person that is advocating for social democratic change. Okay? Modest social democratic reform. So for that reason, it's just not even remotely productive to consistently shit on other more, I guess, like more radical elements within the left. Who cares? You shit on anarchists a lot, though? Yeah, but I still love anarchists. I still talk about how important anarchists are and how they're at the fucking forefront of protests. And there are a shit ton of anarchists in this community as well. Okay? What do you mean? Anyway, these purity tests remind me of the punk scene 30 years ago. Everyone's a poser. No one is pure enough. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think it's important to just like avoid all of that stuff and just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Okay? Just unite on the causes. Who gives a fuck? It does not matter. Try to make some change. Okay? That's it. I don't think the infighting will ever go away, unfortunately.
In the Middle East.
And there's not really much we can do about it. It is what it is. But you know, it's just, you just got to avoid it to the best of your ability. All right. You have to try and avoid it to the best of your ability. And you have to try and unite on the causes that you believe in. But yeah, that's all we got. All right. I just passed my Spanish final. I'm free. Congratulations. Come on, man. Some infighting is justified. You can't have Shining Path motherfuckers running about in the movement. What are you, dude? This is already a demonstration of how fucking like brain broken you are. Okay, have the broader movement in mind, please. That like no one knows what this is. You understand that? Like the average American does not know what this is. This is like, what are you talking about? This is not a relevant point of contention. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand that there are wreckers and I understand that there are people with like insane points of view and whatever. And I think that like there are many different methods of organizing and like building a solid foundation for a movement, like the DSA and the PSL and all these other organizations are constantly going back and forth on like what they need to do, what they are doing wrong, all this stuff. But we're talking about like people on the internet, okay? When we're talking about people online, it's just like you can just avoid hearing them out. It is the easiest thing to do, which is to just be like, okay, sure, buddy, and just fucking move on, okay? That's it. There are a million people who think I'm like too reformist. I'm a revisionist, all this stuff. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, sure. I guess I am. Anyway, speaking of issues, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee faces questions over starvation in Gaza and aid sites.
Police, the Israeli government is considering a full takeover of Gaza in its battle to destroy Hamas. That led to this protest last night at the gates of Israel's military headquarters, with protesters demanding a ceasefire and the return of hostages. Deborah Patta spoke to U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee this morning about the war and humanitarian crisis.
President Trump has said there's real starvation in Gaza, and he appeared deeply troubled by images of starving children. Have you been similarly moved?
I'm moved when the photos are verified.
But they are real images.
Oh, I think that there are certainly people suffering in Gaza. It's happening because Hamas has not allowed the food to get to the people who are hungry.
We spoke to the World Food Program, and they have not been shown any evidence of this at all. What they're saying...
I'm shocked they would say.
He's a sick freak, by the way. I mean, he is. That's why he is the ambassador, for the record. For those of you who are wondering, why is this sick, freaky pervert the ambassador? This is the reason. I mean, this is a true religious zealot, okay? First of all, he's the ambassador to Israel, not Jewish, evangelical Christian, okay? Important to notice. Important to mention, okay? Because these are this is the real backbone of the unconditional support to Israel's genocide people in American society. there are edge cases. There are ultra-Zionist Jews in this country, certainly, okay? And they fund the Trump campaign. Some of them also fund Democrats as well. You got AIPAC, all this shit. But if you want to know on a numbers basis what the real backbone of the American pro-Israeli movement is, it's motherfuckers like Mike Huckabee. Understand? These guys are the real base for pro-Israel politics in this country. There aren't that many Jews in general, okay? There aren't that many Jews in the United States of America or even around the world. There are a fuck ton of evangelical Protestant Zionists out there who love Israel and have a theological justification for unconditionally, uncompromising loyalty to the state of Israel and defending Israel no matter what.
Ambassador, the U.S. has thrown its support and money behind GHF.
It's a U.S. program.
And yes, it's a U.S. program. And yet, every single day, there are people dying near GHF sites.
Tell me about the people dying at the GHF sites. In what way?
So you have no reports of anybody being killed near a GHF site?
No, we've had reports that there have been incidences, but forgive me if I'm a little skeptical when someone says, these people are being killed at the GHF sites. And if there was some random shooting of people who are coming for food, those people would be consequenced severely.
Yeah, right. It's all fake. It's all fake bullshit. And I guess maybe because it's like Donald Trump's administration doing it, and it's like it's happening with such regular frequency that like even the media at this point is basically going, I don't think this is correct. I was talking to a couple friends of mine about this last night. The president of J Street came out and openly admitted that Israel is doing a genocide. Now, J Street is supposed to be a counter to AIPAC, is supposed to be the liberal Zionist group, right? J Street, as a liberal Zionist advocacy group for Israel, literally in the beginning of October 2023, was sending messages to all of the progressive politicians that they donate to say, do not even mention the word ceasefire. So over the course of 22 months, liberal Zionist J Street went from, you are not allowed to say the word ceasefire, we will do everything in our power to destroy you if you even fucking mention the word ceasefire, to openly admitting that Israel is doing a genocide. Now, on the one hand, this spells a major, major change in attitude, even amongst advocacy groups, okay? But on the other hand, I think the reason why, and they're outflanking Bernie Sanders at this point for the record, but the reason why I think J Street is doing this is because they recognize the reality that is unfolding and that is slated to come, because the Trump administration is saying, fuck it, do whatever you want. Clearly, they're telling Benjamin Netanyahu they can do permanent military occupation. This was, by the way, announced in an exclusive interview on Fox News. Netanyahu's announcement to the American media that he is going to take control over the Gaza Strip was an exclusive interview that he gave to fucking Fox News. So I think a lot of these like advocacy organizations and whatnot are trying to do ass covering at this point after years and years of defending Israel. They're realizing that it's no longer a defensible position and they don't want to be associated with it. So they're trying to pull the exit ramp. They're trying to pull off as quickly as they can in an effort to defend what remains of their credibility.
According to the UN, over 1,400 people have been killed trying to get food, mostly, they say, by IDF gunfire, nearly 900 near GHF sites. Increasingly strong language is being used about...
Team leader at Gaza aid distribution sites belonging to the Anti-Jihad Motorcycle Club has Crusader tattoos by Sam F. Biddle. Team leader at Gaza aid distribution sites belongs to the Anti-Jihad Motorcycle Club has Crusader tattoos. Johnny Taz Mulford, who works for a security contractor in Gaza, has tattoos of Crusader-style crosses that have been co-opted by the far right. Great. These are the guys who are shooting at the fucking children. But also, guess what? You know who else has these Crusader tattoos? The fucking Secretary of Defense, dude. The head of the DOD. Oh, it's just like white Christian nationalists.
Israel's prosecution of this war. including from Israeli organizations. They've been accused of genocide.
If Israel is attempting genocide, they're really, really bad at it. They could have had genocide on October the 8th. If they were trying to commit genocide, it would not have taken them 22 months to do it.
Now, we asked Ambassador Huckabee what the U.S. position was on potential plans being discussed by Prime Minister Netanyahu's cabinet to seize and occupy the whole of Gaza. He said that is a decision only Israel can make. Gail?
What do you mean that's a decision only Israel can make? And host Torch Mahmoud Khalil over October 7 claims he reveals who he is. They're still going after Mahmoud Khalil as well. But before we get to that, obviously, I want to talk about this that just came out. This is literally breaking news. Benjamin Netanyahu already revealed that he had the plan to permanently militarily occupy the Gaza Strip, which they have entertained over and over again since October 8th. And virtually everyone said we were insane for this claim, right? And this past week, they officially announced it. And now this is the first Western press hit that Benjamin Netanyahu's doing. This is his revelation, okay? So when Mike Huckabee's like, oh, well, if they're doing a genocide, they're doing such a bad job. It's like, it's so fucking stupid. They have been doing it. They haven't even hid it. They haven't even done a good job hiding it. And I'm sorry, at this stage, if you don't recognize what's going on, you're a fucking moron. Like, really? You just are that oblivious? You're that obtuse? You are that lacking of critical thinking skills that you just look at the situation and you're like, I guess it just doesn't make any sense because the media keeps saying that, like, Hamas is fucking up the ceasefire negotiations over and over again, even though Israel is killing all the fucking negotiators. Israel is regularly saying that they don't want to stop the process of destruction. I don't understand. I truly cannot comprehend how at this stage people are still looking at the situation and going, I don't really know. I don't really know what's going on. It seems like it's too complicated. I guess there are. I guess there still are people because the mainstream press has completely worked not at the interest of defending the truth or accurately communicating what's going on in Gaza or the political dynamic or the negotiations process between Hamas and Israel and who the actual fucking responsible party is for the destruction of the dog. Why don't you play Battlefield 6? I don't know, man. Because there's fucking real shit happening. Shut the fuck up. I'm a political commentator. What do you mean? Fucking, why aren't you playing Battlefield right now? What are you, stupid?
At home 2 hours ago, here in Jerusalem, I sat down with an exclusive interview with the Israeli Prime Minister.
Mods, you can unban him.
25 minutes on
he didn't
camera,
deserve a perma.
right before a significant meeting is about to happen. As you know, the fate of the hostages is still out there. As you know, there are allegations against this government for genocide and starvation. There are questions about his relationship with Donald Trump, even Vladimir Putin. Israel's long-term plans for Gaza and how they achieve a lasting peace is still an open question tonight. We mentioned we're almost 2 years into this war. This country's tired, but they're still fighting. Here now. Yeah,
dude, this framing is so psychotic because it presents Israel as the victims. Okay? Like they are this is a way to structure the conversation as though it's a David and Goliath situation where Israel is the David and not the Goliath. Okay? Oh, they're so tired, but they're still fighting. It's like, bro, what do you mean? Oh, they're tired from murdering babies? Wow, dude, I'm so sad. I'm so fucking sad that Israel is too tired in its unlimited baby murder campaign. That is crazy. And this is, by the way, to this introduction is to the baby murderer himself revealing his final solution, like making it public knowledge in the Western world. That's how you're introducing the conversation, showing it as though Israel is the real victim here. Why? At first, it was victimized on October 7, not because of the inevitable backlash that like its apartheid regime would withstand, but Israel is the victim of on October 7 because of unlimited anti-Semitism, right? And now Israel is still the victim 22 months after October 7, where they're just too tired to keep killing children and starving children. They're so tired. Holy fuck, dude. They are Nazi baby murderers. Oh.
The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, on all those topics and more. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your time today.
Well, glad to see you again.
Thank you. After this interview, you will go immediately into a meeting with your security cabinet. Will Israel take control of all of Gaza?
We intend to, in order to ensure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance.
Brother, oh my Lord. Yeah, he's trying to liberate the Gazans, bro. Liberate them from their fucking bodies, okay? By killing them. This is illegal, by the way, under international law. Everything Israel does is illegal. Israel is an illegal entity, okay? Israel, in the way that it currently exists and has expanded so consistently, has violated numerous international laws. It does not matter. International law only matters as far as someone, as far as there is, people who are willing to entertain international law, to regulate it, okay? It's just ridiculous. International law is inconsequential. Can't wait to see all the Israel-Ukraine motherfuckers coming out against this like they did with Russia's invasion. Surely it will happen. No, they won't, because they're fucking dick riders of American imperialism and Western imperialism in general. Okay? It's, in the simplest terms, whatever America says goes. Okay? That's it. If America doesn't think what Israel is doing is bad, then it doesn't matter. Israel can do whatever the fuck it wants to. Yes, he wants the population to be free of Gaza. That's what it was a Freudian slip, but, it's more honest than anything else he said.
That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do. We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas. And you were in the Gaza Strip today. You met Palestinians who are fighting Hamas because finally they see that they have a future. They can rid themselves of this awful tyranny that not only holds our hostages, but holds 2 million Palestinians in Gaza hostage. That's got to end.
Are you saying today that you will take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip, as it was 20 years ago to this month in 2005?
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to have a security perimeter. We don't want to govern it. We don't want to be there as a governing body. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas. The only way that you're going to have a different future is to get rid of this neo-Nazi army. The Hamas are monsters. Look at what they're doing to our people. Look at what they're doing to the way they massacred, raped, beheaded our people, our men and women, burned our babies. And they are really cruel to their own people, because when we try to take them away from the combat zones, they shoot them. They want people to be civilian casualties. They want a starvation policy that they themselves are trying to put into being, and we're doing everything to reverse that. They have to go. I think President Trump has said it. You have to see two things in Gaza. You have to see Hamas eliminated, and you have to have the hostages released. And he's absolutely right.
There are 20 hostages that the Israelis believe are still alive. And in recent events, the closer the IDF got to them, many of them were killed. Are you prepared for that?
We're doing everything in our power to salvage the hostages. We've, in the beginning, the second day of the war, I think, a senior command official in Israel said, you're going to have to get used to the idea that we're not going to see any of them alive. And I said, no, I don't agree with that. I think with a combination of the right military tactics and international pressure, we can get all of them, and certainly most of them, out. So far, we got out of 255, we've got 205 released. 148 of them are alive. Nobody believed that. And I believe we can get the others, but we have to combine the right tactics, military tactics. Without military pressure, nothing works.
Yesterday, I spoke with LaRon Berman.
Once again, the only successful hostage extraction, with one exception, has been through the process of hostage negotiations. Okay? Also, here's an extra. Here's another incredible moment. Via Amit Segal, the Trump administration is considering granting U.S. citizenship to 20 living hostages in Gaza to increase the chances of their release. This motherfucker will do anything but put an end to the genocide, bro. I swear to God. I also think that, like, this is the type of shit that's really gonna piss off his base. Like, who is this fucking for, man? Take Israel's dick out of your fucking mouth for 1 second and try to think. Like, this is crazy. I'm not a fucking firm and committed believer in the whole, like, Benjamin Netanyahu as compromat on fucking Donald Trump shit. Like, that Mossad has, like, compromising footage of Donald Trump. But every single day, he behaves like a man who's caught fucking children, okay, in the archives of, like, Unit 8200's basement or something. Like, every other day, he behaves as though there is just photographic evidence of his fucking pedophilia or something. I don't understand what this is. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I know people will fucking clip this and be like, Hassan doesn't want the hostages to be released. It's like, dude, there is a solution to fucking releasing the hostages. It's called ending the fucking genocide. What the fuck is happening, man? Also, the main point of contention here is not even the remaining prisoners of war, who are all Israeli military members, for the record. Okay? That is an issue, certainly. But there's also a fucking genocide happening. Like, what are we talking about? Let's say every single prisoner of war has been released. Israel is still continuing its death and destruction campaign, its starvation campaign. Okay, so do we just turn a blind eye to that atrocity? Do we just go, all right, well, the hostages are out. Who gives a shit? I know for many people, it's over after that point. They don't give a fuck. They're like, yeah, okay, time to nuke the strip now in its entirety. Greenwald, Times of Israel blogger, strongly suggests and then threatens that leaks about Trump's involvement with Epstein are Israel's punishment for Trump's refusal to bomb Iran more. He warns it really doesn't pay to start up with Israel. Read, what? Trump and his administration criticized Netanyahu and Israel, and now the Epstein files are haunting him. For a long time, the files had subsided in the background. They weren't considered to be much of a threat to Trump, but all of a sudden, right after he started up with Israel. No, I think this person is just like fucking, this person is just using the current thing that people care about to make this kind of like sinister take, as though, yeah, I don't think that he's just like connecting dots. And this will work for a lot of people, I think. A lot of people will like lean into this. Why the fuck would Israel compromise its own assets if Epstein is a Mossad agent? Why would Israel burn their own Mossad agent with its own trove of pedophilia archives? For a long time, the files had subsided in the background. They weren't considered to be much of a threat to Trump, but all of a sudden, right after he started up with Israel, the files surfaced, and they seem to be overwhelming him. Trump blasted Bibi after the shrapnel hit a church in Gaza. The church is in a war zone. It was not targeted. Rather, shrapnel from a nearby explosion hit it. Still, Trump berated Bibi and demanded he publicly express regret. Huckabee also chimed in, blasting Israel for withholding visas from evangelical groups. It seems that Israel wants to first ensure that the groups don't plan to missionize, but Huckabee seems insensitive to Israel's concerns. Saying Mike Huckabee seems insensitive to Israel's concerns is the most insane thing you can say. Mike Huckabee wants a greater Israel project to continue more than like half of Israeli society. And those motherfuckers certainly want it too. Okay. The other side of this is a lie. Like, Israel obviously blew up the fucking church. Like, the idea that this was like a random incident or something is bullshit. They did it on purpose, and it doesn't matter, because what the fuck are you going to do about it is the attitude that Israel has in this process. And they should have this attitude, because what the fuck can we do about it? We literally can't do anything about it, because our politicians have Israel's dick so far lodged, so far up their fucking spine that the Israel's dick is doing the talking for them like a goddamn puppet. Holy fuck. Now some old files are threatening him. Perhaps Trump will realize that it really doesn't pay to start up with Israel. Perhaps those implicated in the files will express contrition and regret, because when, by divine providence, things that were hidden become revealed, it enables people to correct their mistakes and to endeavor to live their lives properly the way God wants them to. So fucking nutty, man. It's nutty. It is so insane. These motherfuckers are like the arrogance of pro-Israeli people at this stage is what is so mind-boggling to me. Like, it just straight up, like, the most annoying version of doing this, like, whiny, cancel culture focused, hysterical way of being a Nazi. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel like historical fascist movements were not this, like, fucking whiny and entitled and arrogant, or maybe they were. I don't know. But it's just like we've never experienced this dynamic before, because we've never had a situation where, like, Nazi Germany was building its own industrial base to conduct its endless bloodshed campaign at the behest of this Übermensch, at the behest of like a greater neo-Nazi project, right? So they weren't, like, constantly fucking chirping. They were definitely chirping, similar to Israel, when they were talking about, like, well, England has colonies. We're little old Nazi Germany. Why do you think we're doing the colonizing, right? Like, they would do shit like that. But, like, it wasn't as consistent because there was no return on that kind of chirping, because we were antagonistic, especially after a certain point, to Nazi Germany as a foreign state. Whereas Israel cannot conduct anything without America's go-ahead. Israel cannot conduct any of its war campaigns, any of its belligerent death and destruction campaigns in a number of different countries that unfortunately happen to be Israel's neighbor, without America's fucking endless supply of munitions. So with that dynamic in play, it blows my fucking mind that, like, Israeli envoys are so openly arrogant, so openly entitled. Like, some of these motherfuckers, I feel like, do legitimately believe that they are, you know, God's chosen people. Like, this is, what do you mean? Of course I'm going to do a genocide. Like, what the fuck? It blows my mind. Like, I always assume that people are cynical. They're cynically saying things like, no, God gave me the right. Israel was there 3,000 years ago. Fuck you're going to do about it. Like, when someone says that, I don't think that that person has internalized that fucking sentiment. I think that they're just simply saying that, right? To get other people on board, to get other people that are in the margins on board with that kind of thing, if they're also from the same, that exhibit the same, like, tribalist politics, right? But I think some of these motherfuckers truly are like, no, dude, what do you mean? Like, this is the cancer of Kahanist politics and Kahanist Judeo-supremacist ideology taking over so many different subsects of Israeli society. Hypocrisy and generalizing as fuck. No, I don't think you're understanding the words that I'm using here. I'm not saying every single Israeli is like this. I'm saying that it's shocking that there is more and more, there are more and more pro-Israel people who speak like this otherwise formerly far-right subsect of Israeli society that was considered a fucking aberration, that was considered terrorists. Do you not understand? This is how fascism manifests. Like, the whole notion of you know, the Goyer cattle, like, all that kind of stuff, like, that's just a small sliver. It's supposed to be a small sliver of Israeli society. It's not supposed to be, like, written about in fucking Times of Israel. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to me that, like, there is just, like, so much momentum in that direction. There's so much momentum in that direction. Hey, Hassan, a couple days ago you were saying this is a war about land acquisition and not a religious war. Can you say where I can read more about that? I would like to know more. All wars are about land acquisition. Like, every single war is about extraction of natural resources, land acquisition, enslaving the population, and using the labor force. That's just what all politics is about in its most, like, at its most primitive state. It's just that religion and religious undertones are a galvanizing force that people use to get people on board. That's it. No, man, don't trivialize this. What do you mean, don't trivialize this? That's what it is. This is not trivial. This is just factually accurate analysis. Anyway, Hamas has responded to Benjamin Netanyahu's claims, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's continue.
Two brothers.
Yes.
His family believes they are still alive. He said the following:
My advice to you, speaking to the Prime Minister, by all means necessary, we need to bring them back for stability in the region, for the future of Israel. It's a tough decision, but we will handle everything, meaning Israel. What do you say to the family?
I tried to mention this yesterday, but we'll see how successful they are in their attempt to occupy all of Gaza when they are being forced to make reserve battalions with soldiers up to 50 years old due to lack of manpower. I know. They can't do that without like forcibly conscripting the Haredi population, which will cause tremendous internal strife in Israel, in Israeli politics, because the Orthodox will say, fuck no, okay? And even with the Haredi population that is like even less trained than the average diaper force military commander who gets fucking smoked because they can't stop smoking cigarettes right next to a goddamn window in clear sight of a Palestinian Islamic Jihad or Al-Qassam Brigade sniper in the immediate vicinity. So they have to get like American contractors to make up for that lack of experience that they have. There's just no way, I think, there's just no way that Israel could just like maintain a permanent occupation of the Gaza Strip. I mean, it's tiny. The Gaza Strip is a tiny sliver of land. So I guess it's not as difficult as like Russia permanently occupying the entirety of Ukraine or even the eastern Ukrainian territories for a decent number of years. But even then, they just can't do that without full ethnic cleansing, which is why I think they are trying to do full ethnic cleansing. Most, they will try to turn the Gaza Strip into a West Bank style structure with a civil governance division that is tied to Israel in the same way that the Palestinian Authority is, okay? And then continue whatever the fuck they're doing in the West Bank, in Gaza, which is, pogroms, more land acquisition, and the inevitable expulsion of every single person. They did it pre-2003 and they were doing all right, killing Palestinians daily. I know, but the difference is post-2005, there is like a decent amount of militancy that has grown, okay? That's a major difference. You're talking about a time when Palestinians, a decent number of Palestinians still were like holding on to some semblance of hope in the negotiations process. It was coming to a close. Like this was the end stage of like what the so-called peace process was looking like. Having said that, there wasn't as much militancy. That's the reason why Hamas was able to gain so much prominence in the elections, because they were a militant force and they were seen as uncorrupted by Israeli influence. As opposed to Fatah, because Fatah was the Palestinian Authority, and the Palestinian Authority is a part of the Israeli security apparatus. So that is the reason why Hamas even won the elections to begin with. And I think the environment, the dynamic has changed so much more than that. Do you think they're also doing this to hide the actual death toll once this genocide is over? Yes. That is the major reason. As I said time and time again, Israel cannot do a permanent ceasefire because once the dust settles and there are inevitably there are going to be Western forces that intervene. There's going to be Western journalists that go in. There's going to be Western investigators that go in. And when the dust settles and they see the true magnitude of this genocide, it's fucking over. It will be super over for Israel. It's already over for Israel, but it'll be even more over than it ever was before. And that is precisely the reason why they cannot do a ceasefire. That's why they don't want to do a ceasefire. That's why I've said it over and over again. A permanent ceasefire spells doom for Israel, and that's why they won't do it. What will happen as a consequence for Israel, though? I mean, we have significant limitations in what kind of will that we can impose on our politicians because, as I've said over and over again, there is no real democracy in America. Or what people think is the democratic process is simply a ruse, okay? And I think either people recognize that and then continue the pressure campaign to a degree where it becomes like untenable and unsustainable by American interests, so they have to like release a pressure valve or diminish our unlimited loyalty to Israel a little bit. New polling showing it's not just Democratic voters calling what's happening in Gaza a genocide anymore. Likely voters believe it is by a 14-point margin. Do you believe that Israel is committing a genocide against the Palestinians, Palestinian people living in Gaza, All likely voters, 47% August 2025. 33% say Israel's not committing a genocide against the Palestinian people living in Gaza. It's so fucking crazy that there's still this many people that say Israel's not committing a genocide. It's just the truth. Oh, doubt the average American knows what genocide are exactly. Yeah, you can get 30% of Americans to believe anything.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. People say you can't both release the hostages and eliminate Hamas, and I disagree. I think so far we've shown that we can, and I intend to complete the job. But we have three missions. One, to eliminate the Hamas as a governing and military power in Gaza. Otherwise, there's no future for anyone. And we'll have many more kidnappings and many more hostages. Second, achieve the liberation of all our hostages. And third, make sure that Gaza doesn't pose a threat to Israel again. And we're well on our way to achieve all three. Now,
like this is why I get mad about the Israeli security argument. Like, oh, Israel can never be secure unless like Palestine is a state. This is what pisses me off about this, because that's the argument that they make. If the security of Israel is your primary fucking concern, or is even a remote concern at all, then that means you're open to potentially an unlimited death and destruction campaign in Gaza, because that will also offer permanent security to the state of Israel. You know, it's just you guys want the same things. Benjamin Netanyahu has a different method. That's it. Is this in Pam Bondi's office? No, that's Benjamin Netanyahu's wife. I have the Palestinian resistance with all its factions united on the battlefield, and any occupation decision will be returned to where it came from. Defeated and broken as always. The enemy is deluded if it thinks it will release its prisoners from our grip by military force, and we affirm that its prisoners will only be released through the gate of negotiations at a high price. The threat of a full military occupation in Gaza is a declaration of genocidal intentions and a desperate attempt to subjugate our people and resistance, intentions that will not pass without a heavy price, and the field will be the decisive factor as always. It's true. The field is the decisive factor. And in spite of the overwhelming force that the Israeli genocidal forces have demonstrated time and time again, they have had their shit pushed in over and over again. They keep getting smoked. This is a completely diminished force, a completely diminished resistance force on the ground. And they're still able to fucking incur penalties. They're still able to deliver penalties to the Israeli diaper brigade. Okay? It's crazy. Now think about that resistance network continuing to exist. Think about that resistance network continuing to exist while Israel tries to do a military occupation. Its fucking reservists are killing themselves with regular frequency every fucking week, because they're like, we killed too many children and I can't deal with it any longer. I'm going to kill myself. And now your numbers are diminishing. The enthusiasm for the unlimited baby murder is going away because people are too scared to continue doing baby murder because there are repercussions for it. They also realize that when you do that baby murder and you then fucking fly out of Israel to go somewhere because you want to go to MAGA or whatever, okay, or when you want to go to Greece or whatever, people look at you and go, you were in the IDF? Oh, so you're a baby killer. And they don't like that either, because Israeli society has broadly enjoyed being Western aligned, okay, since its fucking inception. That's the only way that you can get people to go and live in Israel and then travel freely to the Western world to the best of their ability, okay? But now if they can't do that, now if there's an academic boycott, for example, all of a sudden, all of the prestigious Israeli institutes fall apart. And that causes people to be like, I'm not Israeli. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? That really gums up the works for the Zionist project. When you got people who are embarrassed to be Israeli, when you get people who are scared to admit that they are from Israel, because Israel is a fucking Nazi country. And now the world is aware of it. The global South was always aware of it, but now even the Western world and the Western populations are aware of it. So you can't, the cat's out of the fucking bag. You cannot try to implement a censorship regime to forcibly make people like Israel. It's just not going to happen. That's it. Yeah, Israel's going to start putting Greek flags on their backpacks like Americans in the Canadian flag. The difference, of course, is that America is the hegemonic superpower on the planet. Okay? And America has a dominant cultural force in Hollywood. Do you understand? So America can still, with American culture and cultural imperialism, still like maintain some semblance of support around the globe. The only thing Israel is known for is genocide now. The fuck? At least America's known for Coca-Cola and Hollywood and shit. What does Israel have? Just genocide. Nobody gives a fuck about the pharmaceutical initiatives that Israel has taken, you know? They're just only known for genocide. And if that's the only thing you're known for, you're cooked. You're cooked. People are going to look at you and go, that's disgusting that you're from Israel. What the fuck?
Because there's so much vilification and misrepresentation in the press. There's an attempt to put blame on Israel for the interdiction of humanitarian supplies that Hamas is interdicting, and Israel is, the international community is delivering the blame to Israel. They're doing everything to rob these food trucks. They're taking the food for themselves and then jacking up the price for the remaining supplies to their own population. That's monstrous.
We have seen some of that, and you're right about that. And you're also right that we went into Gaza while we've been here this week. And we were in the southern town of Rafah, near the Sinai Desert in Egypt. And that town has been flattened. And you have been accused of genocide. How do you respond to that?
Well, as Ambassador Huckabee said, if we're practicing genocide, we're surely doing a very bad job of it, because we could have, you know, basically eliminated the entire population of Gaza, but we went the other direction. We did something that no army in history ever did. We're supplying humanitarian food to the...
There was one army that did that. The Nazis, you know?
The enemy's population, because we distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. We put in 2 million tons of food. I mean, if we wanted to commit genocide...
It's not even you giving the food, by the way. You are not letting the food in. So when you say, oh, we're delivering the food, he means like we're just letting in crumbs of food that the international community has sent in. Yeah, there's also moldy bread in some of the fucking dropped aid. These Palestinians ran for airdropped aid only to find moldy bread. Get a tarp and half a bag of bread. God is witness to what I'm saying. Half a bag of bread and it's rotten. Large Lebanese bread. This week, 6 countries coordinated aid drops across Gaza, but delivered only 120 packages total. Not nearly enough to help the over 2 million Palestinians living through Gaza's starvation crisis. Critics have called the drops a PR stunt. Aid organizations and experts say they are dangerous and ineffective. Yes, if you want the aid to fucking get in, you have to stop bombing the fucking... You have to stop bombing the strip, and you have to let the trucks in. It's pure evil. America did this shit before, where they dropped aid. Also, this was a year and a half ago almost, okay, when America did drop aid, and the aid fucking killed people. They got crushed under the aid. And also, you don't know where the aid gets dropped. There's no guarantee that it's going to get dropped on the ground. So then it gets dropped on top of like buildings and shit, and then people climb up to those buildings and then die because they fall off of the buildings while they're trying to get the aid. It is a death trap again. The most effective way, if you want to fucking like actually feed the Palestinian population, the most effective way to do it is by the existing UNRWA facilities that already have, there's 400 points that they could use. The most effective way is by trucks, okay? Yeah, here's a map of Gaza's 400 plus UN aid distribution points in stark contrast to the 4 GHF run sites, 3 in the south and 1 in central Gaza and none in the north. Each GHF site opens for only about 8 minutes a day, and all 4 are rarely open at the same time. Here's the Commissioner General of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, saying before the spread of famine, community-based distribution centers supported by partners provided food and assistance to 2 million people spread across the Gaza Strip. 5 months on the ongoing attempts to replace the UN coordinated response by 4 Israeli militarized distribution points, hunger has become the latest killer in Gaza. It's time for unhindered, safe, and dignified assistance. Let the UN and our partners do their job. I cannot believe that like Israel is such a fucking evil entity that like the United Nations is a breath of fresh air in comparison, because those guys also literally fuck up all the time. There are horrifying instances of like failure in Africa and in numerous other parts of the fucking world. Like this business is a demonic business. Okay, I know it sounds crazy to say because we're talking about like literally the United Nations is supposed to be great, and it's like they have always failed, partially because it's a difficult endeavor and partially because, you know, when you're serving the most fucked over people in society, it doesn't matter if you're not great at your job. Okay? You can use and abuse people on your own. In this circumstance, though, they are literally angels. Okay? That is how fucked up Israel is, that the United Nations is angelic in comparison to the demonic shit that the Israeli diaper force is doing. It is fucking insane. And UNRWA in and of itself is obviously a much more effective mechanism of aid distribution because it literally is comprised of Palestinians. And it's not just a aid distribution mechanism that is successful, as we've seen, but it's also a way for Palestinians to have a job, right? And the reason why UNRWA has been decently successful in feeding the Palestinians and like being a lifeline for Palestinian existence is because of the 80 years of Israeli occupation. Because they had 80 fucking years to develop a successful, consistent aid delivery mechanism. Because Israel has been occupying the every facet of Palestinian existence and every facet of Palestinian livelihood for almost 80 fucking years. What is this? Mike from PA just spent 5 hours apologizing for using the word demonic. Yeah, I'm not speaking on his situation, but the Israeli Defense Force is conducting a genocide. Saying that this is demonic is appropriate, okay? Saying that the UN, which under other circumstances I would be very critical of, is angelic in comparison to what Israel is doing is also adequate. I'm not saying an entire ethnicity of people or even an entire nation of people are demonic or anything like that. So don't try to fucking slam words into my mouth. Anyway, we hope God will make it easy. Oh God, grant us. Come on, Omar. UNRWA has been like the #1 op for Israel in perpetuity because Israel's goals are ethnic cleansing. And UNRWA is a UN-backed institution that has kept Palestinians alive. And the past administration, the Biden administration, allowed Israel to kickstart the process of delegitimizing UNRWA and destroying it, okay? And of course, Donald Trump came in and slammed in the GHF initiative, the Gaza Holocaust Front, also known as the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, so that they would be the sole aid distribution points for 2 million Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip. Their goal was never to feed the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Their goal was to kill as many Palestinians as possible, starve them quietly, hoping that this would just go away. That's why your pressure campaign is important, because you allow this issue to not go away. Okay? We cannot allow this issue to go away. We cannot allow people to turn a blind eye to the death and destruction that is unfolding in broad daylight under our watch. Do you think they're convincing people with their propaganda on the starvation? Fuck no. I don't think they are at all. Now may be a good time to mention the entire reason they want to destroy UNRWA is because they wish to completely destroy the Palestinian refugee question, because the agency was created to manage and handle all Palestinian refugees, both those within the occupied territories and those in exile, and they want to destroy the organization that would head the right to return if we were ever allowed to come back. Exactly. Love how openly they lie about these things when the Arrow unit, which was created by Hamas to go after those who loot aid, aka Abu Shabaab popular forces, and those who extort the population through price gouging. Yeah. Israel does not allow Palestinians in Gaza to travel anywhere, not even to the West Bank, let alone abroad. How to protect yourself abroad. That's the headline of Itamar Eichner's article on Yediot Ahronot, Israel's most popular paid newspaper, and it gives a disturbing insight into the level of concern among many Israelis who want to travel overseas but are worried about their safety. Recommendations include: don't make your Israeli identity obvious. Don't wear shirts with Hebrew, and think twice before walking with a kippah or tzitzit, garments that are worn by religious males. Don't tell strangers that you're Israeli or Jewish. Don't post your travel plans on social media or revealing information / post about your trip in real time. I'll leave you with just one question. Is there any country that needs to warn its citizens to hide their identity when traveling overseas? There is currently, as it stands, okay, there are countries that I suspect do this. Russians probably, to a certain degree, do this. Americans also experience a level of shame, so they will claim that they're Canadian or whatever. But you're doing a genocide. Like, what do you mean? Of course there is going to be enmity. Of course there is going to be anger and resentment. You are a Nazi country doing a Holocaust in real time and simultaneously crying about how anti-Semitic people are for not letting you do your Holocaust with loud cheers. The fuck? Of course people are going to be like, you're Israeli? Oh, gross. The fuck do you mean? What is the expectation here? Is the expectation here that like people just like cheer when they hear that you're, you know, that you're coming from the country that is now most known for baby killing? What the fuck? If you want to do reputation laundering, you have to tell the Israelis that we hear from on a daily fucking basis to stop saying Hitlerian shit in Hebrew, okay? Obviously, first and foremost, if there was a tremendous number of Israelis, specifically Israeli Jews, that were literally on the streets actively tampering the initiatives of the IOF, okay, it would be a little bit more defensible. But that doesn't even fucking exist. It's like marginal. Half of them are in this chat right now. It's fucking ridiculous. We see the polls. Blood is always drama farming, acting like the world is on fire. Me? You think I'm drama farming, acting like the world is on fire? As America's most important ally that has actively changed American legislation, American rules at their own behest, is conducting a starvation-backed baby murder campaign in real time, and you're like, oh, that's just drama, bro. The fuck? Is it drama? You said your 10 Israel highs today because you're going to the fucking, you are going to El Salvador if you haven't, okay? Just wait. One day it'll come for you too, and then you'll be like, oh, I guess it wasn't drama. For an easy comparison with Nazi Germany, around 100,000 Germans were arrested by the Third Reich for resisting. No, it was 800,000, not 100,000. I mean, obviously a big chunk of those numbers are probably whatever the Nazis consider to be political dissidents as well. But yeah, there was a fuck ton of people who were actively fighting against the Nazis, actively fighting against the fascists in their own country. Yeah. That dumb fuck's like, yo, blood is drama farming like the world is on fire. Okay, dude, wait till a fucking flood destroys your home. And then FEMA's like, hey, have you pledged your loyalty to the state of Israel yet? Because if you haven't, we're not going to give you any fucking aid. Okay? Then you'll know if it's drama farming or not. Some of you dumb fuck Americans do deserve that, though, low key. Like, straight up. Like, you want it so bad, bro. You want it so fucking bad. You're so blind. You're so deluded. You want it so fucking bad. Okay? Wait till Trump deports you so they can make space, make living space for some Israeli citizens. Okay? Space for data centers. What is this? If you were to take all, okay, you guys are just having a combo. Yeah. FEMA comes in. They're trying to pull you out of the rubble after a tornado destroyed your house. And they're like, do you condemn Hamas? Do you love Israel? Do you love Israel? And if you don't quickly respond, or if your response is not sufficient, sorry, we're leaving you in the rubble, okay? Good luck. Have fun. Sorry. Guess you gotta die, dude. You're being quite anti-Semitic inside of that rubble.
We wouldn't give 2 million tons of food to the population. And also the reason you see the flattened buildings is because Hamas booby traps every single building. So when we come in, we first have the population moved, even though Hamas tries to keep them in the combat zones. But after they move, and we start to move into the neighborhoods that are now populated only by terrorists, they ignite these booby traps. So what we do is we put in an APC, an armored personnel carrier, with a lot of explosives, detonate it. It sets off all the booby traps, and the buildings begin to collapse as a result of that. They're empty buildings. They're not populated buildings. Secondly, they've built this underground terror tunnel network with billions of dollars that they had. They didn't build Gaza up. They built a Gaza terror city underground. So we now detonate the tunnels.
Can Fox not fact check any of this? Bro, CNN doesn't even fact check this. Why would Fox? Like... Every single thing he's saying is insane and completely wrong. Okay? Is there a tunnel system under Gaza? Absolutely. That's how the fucking militants are smoking the Israeli troops. Except, once again, you don't have any right to keep killing Gazans. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Oh, there's a terror system. There's a terror tunnel system underneath. Okay. You have one too. The fuck do you mean? Do we just nuke Tel Aviv then? What are you talking about? Oh, our big, beautiful, strong boys are inside of the APC carriers, bro. They're inside of the APCs and they're getting their shit smoked, turning into a fucking $10 million coffin for them. Yeah, there's a reason Netanyahu is so eager to give interviews to Fox News whenever he has to manufacture consent for the next atrocity he's planning. It's because he knows nobody at Fox will ask any hard-hitting questions or call him out for peddling misinformation. To be fair, I don't think even fucking CNN would do that, but...
The tunnels explode, and they take down the buildings that are above the tunnels. And the reason you see this devastation is not because Israel is wiping out these structures filled with civilians. It's because they've been booby-trapped by Hamas, and that's the kind of warfare that we have to win.
I'm hearing you say that...
Man, it's so difficult. Okay, fuck off. I have a good solution to this. Fuck off. Okay?
You deny this charge of genocide.
Totally.
That's what you're saying.
Totally.
But last week, and you referred to it a few moments ago, President Trump mentioned the word starvation. And he pretty much said it is what it is from his observation, looking at video and pictures. Were you surprised by that?
No, look, I think President Trump has been terrific. He's supported us in so many ways. And he understands that we have to get rid of Hamas. He understands that Hamas is also using their own interdiction tactics to prevent humanitarian aid going. So there's been shortages, no question about that. There's been also suffering. And what I intend to do with President Trump, we talked about that and agreed upon that, is to overcome this with a humanitarian surge. So we're opening up safe routes through which aid trucks can go through. We're going to try to quadruple the distribution points that are manned by Americans. And they're doing a hell of a job distributing food to Gazans without Hamas taking over the food. And that's really what we're doing. And airdrops that we intend to do, we're already doing. And we invite other countries to join us. So
I guess it's important to see how he's lying. I don't even know how to I don't know where to begin. Airdrops are not a sustainable way to deliver aid, okay? The international humanitarian organizations have all criticized the aid drops as the only aid delivery mechanism. As I already explained, there are 400 aid distribution sites inside of the Gaza Strip that were operated by the United Nations. Okay? There are thousands of trucks lined up outside of the Gaza Strip, filled to the brim with aid, waiting to be delivered. Israel is refusing to deliver this aid. They're just sending moldy bread and crumbs of food so that the international community can do a PR initiative and to allow Israel to continue its starvation, allow Israel to continue its genocide. The idea that they are going to permanently occupy the Gaza Strip militarily is, and openly admitting to that, is just an active recognition of the final solution. There is no permanent military occupation of the Gaza Strip by the Israeli state. This would be tremendously bloody for all of the Israeli military. They have to do this after genociding the entire Palestinian population. There's no other way that they can do this. And I suspect, and I mean, it's not even a suspicion at this point. We're seeing it unfold in broad daylight. They are trying to ethnically cleanse the entirety of the Strip. They're trying to kill as many Palestinians as they possibly can without basically a demand. Basically, what is this? Check logs. Apparently, the ADL demanded an interview about the play be taken down because someone in the video was wearing a keffiyeh. What? Oh, fuck the ADL. ADL can suck my dick. Okay. They are trying to play this song and dance in an effort to not have Western leadership basically say, we're going to invade Israel militarily. What the fuck are you doing? There is a permission structure that is consistently expanding. Okay. And Israel is certainly doing everything it can to create this new permission structure. And that's why, even though they said they were doing a genocide from the jump, now they're openly recognizing that at this point, because after 22 months and no significant repercussions from any of these Western allies that supposedly care about human rights, they've realized no one's going to say anything. They don't even need to do PR. They've never had to do PR, and they realize that they don't even need to do active PR for this shit. We have basically slotted society into two categories, maybe three, but it's the people that don't really understand what the fuck's going on and don't care to, okay? There's still a decent number of people in that category. There's people that look at this and say, this is unconscionable, this is genocide, this is fucked up, this is completely unacceptable. And then there's the people who are just going to be pro-Israel no matter what. for a multitude of different reasons. Maybe because they fucking hate Arabs, maybe because they fucking hate Muslims and they think they're scary and barbaric, and they hate refugees or whatever. Okay, or maybe because they think Israel has a religious reasoning for doing what it's doing, and that's good because, like, you know, the rapture is going to happen if Israel finishes its genocide. Or maybe because they love Israel and they have financial ties to Israel. Okay, well, regardless, there are three different groups of people out here at this point. The majority of them actually find what Israel's doing to be unconscionable. Okay? Majority of them find what Israel's doing to be disgusting, gross, because it is. It is disgusting and gross. Completely unacceptable. It's a genocide. But as it stands, Israel recognizes that they have complete command over the situation, and no one in the Western world is actually going to do anything to put an end to it. Okay? That's why they have this comfort. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu is comfortable enough to go on Fox News to say, we're doing it. We're doing the full genocide. We're doing the full occupation because Hamas, because Hamas, because Hamas. Everything is because of Hamas. You don't need to, like, even if you look at this and it pisses you off, what the fuck are you going to do about it is the attitude. Okay?
Israel that's doing now and has been doing for some time an effort to give humanitarian aid to the population without letting the Hamas terrorists take it, steal it for themselves. And
what is this? It's the time of his life. One can literally feel it. Maybe because they are right, but it is moral. You think wiping out the entire Gaza Strip is moral? What a stain on humanity you are. This is why, listen, this is why people say fascism requires you to kill your own humanity. Okay? Like, at this stage, I'm sorry to your parents, to the people that you know and love. At this stage, if they're still actively defending Israel and actively defending Israel's actions, like, they have already lost the plot. They are no longer recognizable as, like, human beings that are capable of fucking empathy. Okay? They've killed their own souls. They've killed their own capacity to think like a human being. Because that level of dehumanizing the enemy, okay, requires you to dehumanize yourself first and foremost.
Has President Trump given the green light for your plan to take over the remaining 25% of Gaza and occupy all of it?
Well, you know, he understands that it's Israel who's going to do the fighting. It's not American soldiers.
Did he give you a yes?
Well, he just says, I know Israel will do what it has to do, and we haven't got into that kind of discussion. But we have gotten into a discussion on two things. One,
believe it or not, the Trump admin plans to further increase the reality distortion field. The Trump admin plans to dramatically cut criticism of human rights abuses in Russia, Israel, and El Salvador in the upcoming State Department reports. The Post compared drafts to past reports. It's just, reminder that every senator voted to confirm Marco Rubio. Oh, yeah. How can you blame Trump? He's literally on every page of every document Mossad has in possession. I know. He's the real victim here is not the starving children who are Palestinian, okay, that Israel is starving deliberately and killing. The real victim is Donald Trump. It's true. Virtually in every page of the Epstein files. What are you going to do, you know? I guess we just gotta let Israel go crazy. How long are they going to pretend that Israel's still doing the right thing after they kill the last person from Gaza? I think at a certain point we have to recognize that, like, these guys, bad guys. That's it. I normally don't fall into the good-bad dynamic, but, like, yeah, the American politicians are evil people, okay? They are. They're evil. They're straight up fucking evil. They are Nazi collaborators. Israel is a Nazi country. Israel's actions are akin to the Holocaust, and American politicians who are refusing to listen to the cries of the Palestinian children and refusing to listen to the cries of their own constituents are Nazi collaborators. They're looking at all of this anger, all of this resentment, and turning a blind eye to it all and saying, well, sorry, we have to participate in this process. I can't hear you.
Humanitarian surge that we're going to do, which will precede our final military action, because I want the population to be in safe zones, to have food, water, sewage, electricity, medical help. I want to free 2 million Gazans from Hamas terrorism. The second thing that we agree on is that the day after has to have certain principles. I'm not talking about a detailed plan yet because I think that'll be developed. But the 5 principles, the key principles are these. 1, Hamas has to lay down its arms. 2, Gaza has to be demilitarized. 3, all the hostages have to be released. And 4, Israel will be responsible for overall security. So if there's an attempt to have a resurgent.
Like every single thing that he just brought up, with the exception of like allowing Israel to continue doing its genocide and occupy Gaza militarily, okay? And also the demilitarization side, which is insane. It's an insane demand to make while you're in the process of doing a fucking genocide. It's also an impossible demand to make in general. People are always going to take up arms against Israel, understandably. They have every right to do so. It is within their legal right to do so. It is their moral right to do so, okay? With those 2 major exceptions, everything that he just described is literally the Hamas proposal. But of course, as time has moved on, Benjamin Netanyahu just kept adding additional qualifiers to it because he has no interest in actually coming to a reasonable conclusion here. He doesn't want a cessation of hostilities because he's fucking terrified that once the dust settles and people realize the true magnitude of his genocide, it's over. What I actually fear is maybe it's not over after the dust settles. What I actually fear is that like Western journalists go in, they cover it. All of these like humanitarian rights organizations go in and they cover the full magnitude, the full scale of the atrocities. The media still tries to do a pressure campaign, a censorship campaign, and people still go along with that same, now even more expanded permission structure for Israel. That is what I'm actually worried about. But I know that in his calculation, Benjamin Netanyahu worries that when they see the true magnitude, it will be undeniable that Israel has committed a genocide. And at that stage, I think the global community will take action against Israel. That is what he fears.
Hamas, or resurgent terrorism, we're the ones who are going to take care of it. And 5, let Gaza be governed by a civilian authority that is not Israel, because I don't want to occupy Gaza forever. I don't want to govern Gaza. I want to have a different governance there that basically is willing to live in peace with Israel and give Gazans a different future. That's entirely different.
When I say, for the record, when I say like when the dust settles and people start seeing it, it'll become like even more undeniable. And you go, everybody already knows this. Yeah, except everybody already knew this a year ago. But look at the broader public sentiment now as opposed to a year ago. So things do actually move in the direction of the truth when it comes to Israel's actions. Like, think about the conversations that you probably had with your parents or with older people in your lives a year ago as opposed to now. And think about how much their opinion has shifted. There's still plenty of room for growth there as well, but there are still plenty of other people who are, holding on to something that is otherwise indefensible, that is indefensible. I think every single day, CNN Jerusalem correspondent Jeremy Diamond is one of the hundreds of journalists battling Israel to enter Gaza to report independently. He explains why without press freedom, there is no democracy. I mean, that's just, no shit. The international consortium of fascists is so devastating. Israel plays a formative role in this. They are fascists just like the Trump administration is, just like the AfD is, just like the nationalists are in France. They are all over. They have completely overtaken Western society, and they're so powerful an ideological force that even the supposedly leftist leadership, like in the Labour government in the UK, is totally capitulating or directly repeating the same exact fascist policies and the same exact fascist propaganda. It's so unimaginably cooked. It's so fucked.
From these unbelievable lies that are leveled against us, frankly, against...
No, obviously, Labor is not a left party any longer. I'm not saying that it's a left party. It's like the Democrats are the left party in America. Do you understand? It's supposed to be the viable, democratically electable counterbalance to the fucking growing fascist movement. It's not. And now Corbyn's party will take that space, and we'll see how Just stop using the term left Assam, motherfucker. Man, shut up. Shut up. Okay? Even if it's a completely fucking fascist country, there is still supposed to be a left force that is still center right or far right. You can have two far right parties, and one is going to be more to the left than the other. That's what I mean. They're taking it all right. I know. The Greens have had, the Greens initially had a big resurgence, and now your party, 30% new, projected outcome in Keir Starmer's seat in Holborn plus St. Pancras projected result.
Me too, by the international press that doesn't care to check the facts. It just takes Hamas statistics, Hamas arguments. It just swallows them hook, line, and sinker, and delivers this vilification of the one democracy, the one Jewish state that is fighting people massacred. It's the equivalent of the massacre of thousands and thousands of Americans, the rocketing of American cities. Nobody would stand.
All right, Hassan, you talk a lot about the Israel-Gaza war, but I just wanted to know what you think Israel should do from this current situation. I'm assuming it's understood that you can't leave the kidnapped children of Israel and Gaza unless there's a part of your solution. I think it's a really difficult question, mainly because of the fuck situation. I really want to hear your take. It's not a fuck situation. Israel's doing a genocide and using the hostages cynically to fucking propagandize to continue doing its genocide. It's killed a fuck ton of hostages in the process. The children of Israel that are still, the kidnapped children of Israel that you're referencing are literally kidnapped from a tank and shit at this point. The only remaining quote unquote hostages are actually prisoners of war. They are military members. Okay. Not that it fucking matters because Israel doesn't give a shit about that. The Israeli government certainly doesn't give a shit about that. They've bombed the hostages. They fucking bombed the prisoners of war. They have starved the prisoners of war. They have starved them all the same as though they are regular old Palestinian citizens. Okay. The idea that this is a complex situation is ridiculous. It is not a complex situation at all. You're only trying to add complexity because it doesn't correspond to everything that you have been taught about a genocide, everything that you've taught about like a country conducting a genocide like this. Okay? It's not a complex situation at all. Hamas has brought forward numerous proposals at this point. Israel could have abided by any number of different ones. America has even added some moderate pressure, okay, upon Israel, but not enough. And the only solution here is to end the genocide. Hamas has already suggested that they would disband and dissolve. But in order for Palestinians to have sovereignty, they have to have a standing military. They have to have a standing military, and they have to have full sovereignty and take control over their own governance. There is nothing complicated about this. Hamas is just being used as a fucking scapegoat. It's that simple.
Joe Biden, which was a measly $551.
Anyway,
so,
Trump is live.
You gain 10 times more income for the average family than Joe Biden is because of your policies.
And that's
Trump is live to lie about how the situation that you're experiencing in terms of the financial struggles is actually fake, and you're fake and gay for even recognizing it. Thank God he has a chart to tell us that actually every American is doing great.
So then we looked at which families did the best. And we have data from the Census Bureau that shows by income percentage. So the 25th percentile is the lowest income, 75th percentile is the highest income. And what I find fascinating about this, Mr. President, is every income group did better. The red is President Trump, the blue is President Biden. Every single income group did better under President Trump. But what's really amazing is look what happened under Biden. The lowest income group lost income under Biden. They were poor 4 years after Biden's presidency. No gain virtually whatsoever for the middle class. And the rich was the only group that did better under Biden, which is ironic because Biden keeps saying he was trying to get rid of income inequality. He made income inequality worse, not better. It was President Trump that reduced income inequality.
These numbers just came out, by the way.
Yep. And then finally, these are the numbers just I just showed you in percentage terms. Mr. President, these are the numbers in dollar terms. So even the lowest income 25th percent gained about $4,000 in income. That's a lot for a lower income family. $6,400 for the middle class and almost $10,000 for the richest. So you can see every income group did better under Trump than Biden by a wide margin. That's the story.
I think when you look at them, they're all something, but this one chart really says it better than anything. If you look at this, this is great. But this chart is pretty amazing right here. All new numbers.
Just came out, super fresh.
Okay. So we're going to go now over to
Okay.
and we're going to celebrate some very brave people with the Purple Hearts. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, just to follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President, is your deadline for Vladimir Putin agreeing to a ceasefire still stand tomorrow, or is that fluid now that talks
Say it, what?
Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him.
And do you,
We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
And do you have to meet with, does Putin have to meet with Zelensky in order and before you and Putin have to meet? Or
No.
Are you hoping
So you're
for
willing to, that's actually important because President Putin said this morning he was pretty dismissive of this idea of meeting with President
Who was?
Zelensky. President Putin was.
I don't know. I didn't hear
For you
him.
to meet with him, he doesn't have to agree to meet with Zelensky. Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. No.
So when do you think that meeting
They would like to meet with me, and I'll do whatever I can to
They
stop
love
the
me.
killing. So
They don't like Disney. They
last
love me.
Month, they lost 14,000 people.
Art of the
Killed.
deal.
Last month. Every week is 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I don't like long waits. I think it's a shame. And they're mostly soldiers. They're Ukrainian and Russian soldiers, and some people.
Yeah, he is
from
in a bad mood
the
today.
cities where missiles are lobbed in, and you'll lose 35, 40 people a night, which is terrible. But no, mostly it's soldiers, and you're talking about on average 20,000 a month. 20,000 people are dying a month. Young, generally young people, soldiers. We're going to speaking about soldiers. We'll see you over for Purple Hearts.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Stephen
Thank you,
Moore.
press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you. Keep moving. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. President.
Fangavir says Palestinian prisoners should be shot and starved. I guess I just think that the Israel's national security minister bragging about starving Palestinian prisoners and putting a bullet in their head should have made the news. I'm surprised that I've had to dealt with the questions. If the Palestinian prisoners have a fruit basket or not. And I say Palestinian prisoners must be killed, shot in the head. The law of executing prisoners will be passed on the third reading in the Knesset. And the law will mean we will give them a little to live on and nothing more. I mean, yeah, he also celebrated recently saying like they come in fat and leave thin when talking about starving prisoners. How many people in the West know that Israel's blocked the Red Cross from visiting Palestinian prisoners since October 7? Literally today, the state is in court seeking its 20th delay, citing national security. I'm telling you, is the worst double standard there is. Anything Israel has ever claimed about Hamas, they have done a million times worse. It's not even a question. Okay? It's not even a fucking question. Anything Israel has said about Hamas, they have actually done a million times worse. Anything Israel has claimed Hamas is doing, they've done a million times worse.
Come back to my experience inside Gaza this week. We went to an aid distribution site, food distribution site. Your own soldiers have been accused of killing innocent Gazans
Part of it, Mossab,
who are in line for food. That's the accusation, almost on a daily basis. Can you defend that?
Yeah, I could deny it because it's a Hamas accusation. They're the ones often who are doing the shooting and waiting for our soldiers to respond. And in fact, very often they don't respond. But all these stories are repeated ad nauseum, and the people don't even bother to check the facts. We're doing everything that we can to avoid civilian casualties. And in fact, if you look at it, I mean, the town of Rafah that you saw all that, right?
All of it.
Right, okay. So I told you why there was devastation, because we moved the population out and then went to and dealt with the booby traps that were there. And we killed a lot of terrorists there. You know how many civilians we killed there? Practically none. Why?
It's just everything he's saying is a lie. They leveled Rafah. They leveled every part of Gaza. They leveled it so much that they wanted it to be illegal for the aid distribution planes to have journalists on them to show the full magnitude of the death and destruction. which once again, the aid drops and the planes do not even show the full scale of the death and destruction. He just keeps saying, everyone that we kill is Hamas. That's it. That's it.
Because we told them, please leave. We, we showered them with leaflets. We called them, millions of text messages and many other means to get them out, and they walked out. They walked out 2 miles to the coast, where they had a safe zone, and practically no civilians were killed. That nobody describes, nobody talks about. Israel is doing things that no army in history has done.
There's one army, once again. One army. The Nazi army, they did that. You know. They did that. It's not like a one-to-one comparison, but the motivating factors here are the same. A completely ridiculous ideology of ethno-religious supremacy and an exterminationist campaign to destroy the land, to rid the land of all of its inhabitants that do not subscribe to that ethno-religious ideology, ethno-religious supremacist ideology. Yeah. The fucking Nazis did that. And it's crazy that this motherfucker basically looked at that and was like, oh, this is a checklist for me, actually. It wasn't like an event, a horrifying dark chapter of history to learn an incredibly important lesson from. It was just a checklist. He was like, oh yeah, can't wait to do this to a totally other random group of people now, you know? So did the Turks too. Yeah, they did. Dumb fuck. Who the fuck's defending that? Am I? You know who is defending that? Or at least turning a blind eye to it? Fucking Israel. Suck my dick. What do you mean? So did the Americans. Okay? The point is, you can't point to it happening in the past and be like, this was actually really fucked up when they were doing it, but when Israel's doing it, it's all right because they did it in the past too. The point is to learn from those lessons and not learn the lesson of what to do and basically do the exact same shit that the fucking Nazis were doing. The lesson is to never do that. Never allow this to happen.
Colonel John Spencer, who's the head of urban warfare studies at West Point, he said that he scoured all of his modern history. He said no army in the world has done that. And yet Israel is, of course, accused again and again and again by fake reports, by Hamas statistics that are fake.
Hamas statistics, Hamas. BBC's Jeremy Bowen. Israelis don't want us to film outside the window of the devastation in Gaza. Communities in the north of Gaza are flat. There's nothing left. Israel will not allow reporters like myself to enter the Gaza Strip to report the story, and they don't want us to see it. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. I mean, look away. Nothing to see here. The only reason why Israel can continue this propaganda initiative also is because of pure racism through and through. Because Palestinians do live there. And they have communicated their own demise. They show it with the limited amount of internet that they have. They literally film this shit and go, this is what they're doing to us. But because we are an incredibly racist fucking Western civilization society, okay, we don't even listen to them. At least you do. Many of you in here do that. And that's the reason why you're 3, 4, sometimes 5 months ahead of where mainstream discourse is going. Because for mainstream press in the Western world, it's only newsworthy when it's far too late to do anything about it. Only then do they ever cover the events that are unfolding. There is perhaps no better representation of this than the famine stuff that's going on right now. The famine discourse is going on. Famine doesn't happen overnight. There are food stockpiles that need to diminish, that need to deplete, okay? So for months, we said Israel's blockade is going to lead to a famine. There is a percentage of the population of Palestinians that are actively speaking out and actively talking about massive inflation in the marketplaces and how little food they have in the Strip, that famine is imminent. It took hundreds of starving children to die and be photographed for people to finally go, okay, I guess famine did happen. How did this happen though? We don't know. What do you mean we don't know? You don't listen to the Israelis that are saying famine is happening and we like it. You don't listen to the Palestinians that are saying we are being starved by Israel. And then after the events unfold and you start seeing the death and destruction, only then do you turn around and you go, okay, I guess it was happening, but how could this have happened? Why are you accusing your audience of being ignorant Americans? If we're ignorant, but we're watching you, why aren't you answering my text, Hamas? I'm floored this motherfucker said we sent them text messages. Okay, take a week off for that stupid fucking question. Chatter.
If you repeat a lie often enough, it assumes the cachet of self-evident truth. It's still a lie.
Yeah, your chief of army says your military is exhausted. It's almost 2 years of war. And I mentioned 20 years ago this month, Ariel Sharon made the decision to get out of Gaza, bring the settlers out, and it's been that way ever since, and Hamas moved in. But you have 10 million people who live in this country.
That's right.
And they have a lot of opinions.
Yeah, well,
is it possible?
It's a democracy, you know.
Is it possible for you to keep Israel unified?
Why are you against tariffs? It's like taxes, but for non-Americans. With this money, we could have free healthcare and so on. Chatter, I think you fundamentally misunderstand how tariffs work. Number one, I'm not against tariffs, okay? I'm a leftist. I'm a socialist. Of course, I'm in favor of trade protectionism, but there needs to be trade to protect, okay? In the absence of a competitive domestic manufacturing alternative, tariffs don't do anything other than raise prices. Tariffs, in the way that Donald Trump has done it, is basically a broad sales tax, a regressive tax, which hurts the working poor more than it hurts the wealthy. Okay? Because tariffs, the way that they work is they're not paid by the manufacturer. They're paid by the importer, the American company that is bringing in the raw goods, materials necessary for American manufacturing even, or if you're even importing products that you're getting from any number of these different countries. Okay? There are certain things that you simply cannot get, that you simply cannot make in the United States of America. For example, Donald Trump is entertaining additional tariffs for Brazil because he doesn't like that his bestie, former leader of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, tried to do an insurrection January 6th style, failed to do so, and is now undergoing the process of prosecution. So he decided to slap tariffs to the country of Brazil. Brazil is responsible for a sizable chunk of the meat that we consume in this country. Okay. Brazil also sends us coffee and chocolate. Coffee, especially, is region locked. We just simply cannot produce coffee here. Okay. We can't do it. So what do? So when you slap tariffs on a country like Brazil, and they're responsible for sending us coffee beans, okay, something that we simply cannot produce in large enough quantities in this country, okay, even with Hawaii and Puerto Rico chatters, remember, we do not have enough coffee bean production in this country to make up for the additional limited supply. Why do I say this? Because here's how tariffs work. Brazil sends in coffee. There's an importer that takes coffee beans and sells it to distributors, sells it to coffee shops, sells it to roasters, whatever, right? That person is now paying for the tariffs because it's an entry fee, okay? That American company is now paying for the tariffs. So there's two things that they can do. The American company can either eat the cost of the tariff, and in certain instances, so fucking large of a percentage of price increase that it's virtually impossible for them to eat the cost of the tariffs, okay, which would lower their profit margins, or they just no longer fucking import the coffee beans. But if they do continue to import the coffee beans, they will carry on that cost to the consumer. It will increase the price of the coffee bean by whatever percentage the tariff is. And then the roaster will also have to increase the coffee bean roast, the price of the coffee that is ground up. You as a consumer will see that as inflation. You as a consumer will go and purchase this coffee either at Starbucks or wherever the fuck you purchase your coffee, and you will see an increased price on your coffee. This is because of the tariff. This is how tariffs work. So you're wrong. It's not like taxes, but for non-Americans, because Americans will be paying the tariffs. You as a consumer will be paying this because the way it works is like a broad sales tax. Okay?
Almost 2 years into this war.
Oh, I'm sure we can. I mean, there's a...
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Who taught you that the tariffs were being paid by non-Americans? I want to know who's misinforming the youth. Where'd you learn that? What do you mean? What do we do without coffee? Drink tea, I guess? Okay, dude.
There's an organized and systemic...
I saw it on TikTok. Okay, well, that person, you shouldn't trust whoever taught you that on TikTok because they're wrong.
Against them.
And they're biased. And they're trying to defend Donald Trump by lying to you.
That's part of democracy. I accept it, although a lot of it is foreign funded by the same people who also encourage the demonstrations on your campuses and so on. But I'll tell you one thing, the people are united. Not every last one. This is not a dictatorship. But, you know, when it's a Seven Front War, and look at what we did. You know, we were attacked. We were on the verge. Everybody thought this is the end of Israel on October 7th. When Hamas cruelly invaded us and those monsters took the hostages and murdered the men and raped the women and beheaded, it's beyond belief, and burned babies, okay? And everybody said, oh, Israel is gone. And I said on the second day of the war, I said, we're going to change the face of the Middle East. And we went against Hamas, then we went against Hezbollah, the terror proxies of Iran. Then we had the downfall of the Assad, the murderous Assad regime in Syria. And then we went after Iran, and President Trump joined us, which was a magnificent act of solidarity against a common enemy. Everybody said, oh, well, you know, Israel's not going to be together, but it is. Now we have to complete the job of eliminating basically the last proxy of Iran that's still standing.
And this is your job to sell it to your people.
Well, I don't have to. Believe me, the people are selling it to me. You know, I go into Gaza as you went in. You've been to Rafah? I've been to Rafah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Talk to the soldiers. Talk to the division commanders. You know what they tell me? They tell me, Prime Minister, don't bother with the press. Just press on with the mission of liberating Gaza from these murderers. And we can do the job. We can separate the civilians from the combatants. We can eliminate Hamas. We can liberate the remaining hostages. Let us do the job. That's what the soldiers that cut across Israeli society are telling us. Doesn't mean that they make it to the mainstream channels. Doesn't mean that they make it to the foreign press. In fact, they don't. But if I had to run the country based on these vilifications, you know, I shouldn't be here. Because leaders should do what is right and what will withstand the test of time. And what will withstand the test of time is that in an hour of peril, Israel didn't slumber like other democracies often do. In the face of this challenge to our existence, we took on a seven-front war, won it, and secured the peace, and expanded the peace after this victory, expanding the Abraham Accords, creating a different Middle East. That's what we're in the process of doing.
This is why I said what I said about the Nelk boys. Like, this is why I said what I said to the Nelk boys. This conversation taking place is even more damaging than the fucking Nelk boys' stupidity here. Okay? This is a reputable media institution. Reputable. It's not, but it's reputable for your dumb fuck parents, unfortunately. And no pushback whatsoever. Just a continuous stream of fucking lies. Just like the Nelk boys did. But this time it's an adult. It's an adult with influence over your parents.
The last part is hard, but it's doable, and we'll do it.
Let me come back to the Abraham Accords, because the president made news on that earlier today. In America, there has been a considerable rise in anti-Semitism, especially on American
Boys are adults too. Yeah, but they carry themselves as man-children.
College campuses. Yeah. How did Israel, especially for Americans under the age of 30, young Americans, how did Israel lose this argument? Or maybe the better question would be, how do you win them back?
Well, I think we will. First of all, you win by winning and shortening the war. And President Trump has given us the support to finish this war as quickly as possible. Of course, we have to contend with campaign of vilification that is done by so-called reputable news media. I mean, the New York Times puts out a major story on the front page, a Palestinian mother holding a child, starved supposedly, and then it turns out that that child has cerebral palsy. It's a congenital disease. He has a brother who's well-fed, family is well-fed, but it's put out this thing, and then it corrects it with a denial the size of a postage stamp buried in the back pages. No, we can't work by lies. How do we win? Eventually the truth gets out. It takes time. People will see the humanitarian surge. People will see our efforts to prevent civilian casualties. People will compare what has happened here to other urban warfare sites that were not nearly as dense, as difficult without this,
Brother, other urban warfare sites still allowed journalists without murdering them. They did murder some journalists. America certainly did, famously. But they still let, most Western press operate. Israel has not. I wonder why. I wonder if this is, a little bit different than regular war, which is already filled to the brim with crimes. If Israel was simply doing a just war with some crimes, or even an unjust war with some crimes that's associated with it, they wouldn't have to have this massively censorious regime.
50 meters below ground, these terror tunnels, and yet Israel will triumph, will succeed in this mission. And most of the people, I can't say 100% of the people, but most of the people are united. And ultimately, this is democracy.
So instead of shifting that argument on the media, whether it's the New York Times or maybe the Gazan Health Ministry, putting out, because you've said repeatedly in this conversation that they exaggerate, will you allow more independent reporters to go into Gaza and see it for themselves?
That's my conclusion. In fact, that's my instruction as of this morning to the military. And I said, that's exactly what you should be doing. Those who are lying are going to continue lying. But give honest journalists the ability to see the truth. The fact that we're trying to get civilian aid, humanitarian aid to the people.
Also, now he'll let journalists in. He won't, by the way. Newsflash, he's not going to do that. What he means is he'll allow those fucking freaks. He'll allow those freaks that have consistently defended Israel to do the same IDF escort with full editorial control. Remember, with full military censor, full editorial control, he will maybe allow some figures, just like they did in the past, like Douglas Murray, to go in and do stunts.
People of Gaza, the efforts that we're making there. B, to understand and explain why those buildings are destroyed, because they're booby-trapped, and we clear the population. And I'm glad you were in. I'm glad you did this thing. I'm glad, in fact, I would say you were blazing the trail. But there have been others, and we have the same result. Every time people see it, they see it in a more realistic way, in a more honest way than the way that it's presented in, unfortunately, in the New York Times and others. New York Times should be sued. I'm actually looking at whether a country can sue.
Dude, every defender of Israel has one speed. Overly litigious crybabies. Mods. Overly litigious crybabies who complain constantly that the world won't just say thank you for fucking genociding children. I do not know how a publication could be more pro-Israel while still maintaining a shred, or still trying to maintain a shred of institutional credibility. The New York Times has already dropped all of its institutional credibility because of its unlimited defense of Israel.
The New York Times, and I'm looking into it right now because I think it's such clear defamation. I mean, you put a picture of a child that's supposed to then represent all these supposedly starving children, yet they put in this picture of a child who has cerebral palsy. Then they took another picture somewhere else in other media, a child who had cystic fibrosis, got nothing to do with starvation. Or another child that we actually sent to Italy to be cured, and Israel is accused.
But still, you concede there is suffering on behalf
there
of
is
people
suffering
in Gaza.
Yes, because Hamas is interdicting aid, exactly, and what we're doing is overcoming it. I don't deny that there's suffering. I want to end the suffering, and I want to end it by ending Hamas rule. Would you like to be governed by 20,000 armed monsters who shoot you in the back of the head if you try to leave a war zone? who shoot you if you say, I want to have my freedom from Hamas. We now have Gazans fighting Hamas. They finally have the courage to do that because they see that Israel is progressing and they think that we're going to win. So they're not afraid anymore to stand up for their own rights. And they have their separate schools, they have separate programs, because they don't want to educate their children for endless fanatic warfare, which is what Hamas is teaching. Hamas is saying, death to Israel, death to America. They hate everything that a free society stands for. And ultimately, the people of Israel understand it. And I think ultimately, the free peoples of the world will understand it.
I have one more question, but I want to clarify something if I could.
Sure.
You've said a few times now that the buildings in Rafah that we saw had tunnels underneath them.
Yeah.
There's no way for us to see that when we're there physically with our own eyes, but you're saying all these buildings were booby-trapped?
All.
And they were not hit by the Israeli Air Force?
No, what I'm saying is
because
that
it is building after building.
Well, these
house after house.
Remember, these houses are empty to population. In the beginning,
man, how convenient, dude. They just had to blow up all those buildings, and it was actually Hamas that blew up the buildings. That's the argument. It's such an insane claim that even Fox News is like, come on, man.
The war. I remember my visit to Washington, and I was told under the previous administration, they said, there are 1.4 million people in Gaza, in Rafah, because we moved the population away from war zones, and they all concentrated in Rafah. Then we wanted to eliminate Rafah. It's like, we were told, don't go in there. And I said,
we wanted to eliminate Rafah.
It's like the Allies are, take over Germany, and finally they're told, don't go into Berlin, and leave the German army, 25% of the German army intact. I said, of course I have to go in. But they said, but there are all these civilians. And I said, okay, we'll make sure that they leave. In fact, they left within 6 days. They all left. And then we had to go in. It's full of terrorists in those buildings, in the streets. They booby-trap the streets. They booby-trap the buildings. So we go in and clear it away. And that's what you would do. That's actually that's what you did. That's what you did in your war zones too.
The reason why this point is important for me to understand is we only saw one part of Gaza. We did not see the rest of it, the town of Rafah, as I referred. Last question, sir, if I could, please. The president earlier today put on Truth Social that he wants all the Middle Eastern countries to join the Abraham Accords. Who are the holdouts?
Well, you know who we have peace with, so. If you look at the other countries, they're the ones that are potential and real potential candidates for this. And I think, look, the president and I joined forces with Arab leaders and had the Abraham Accords, which were historic changes, a real change in the Middle East. We had 4 peace treaties with 4 Arab nations in a very short time. And in fact, I think that the attack on October 7th, among other things, it was meant to destroy Israel, but it was also meant to destroy the possibility of peace between Israel and the leading Arab country, Saudi Arabia. So obviously we like to see, with the elimination of Hamas and the Iran terror axis, which has been our war. Our war the last 2 years has not been with Hamas only, it's been with Iran and all its terror proxies and its attempts to develop nuclear weapons.
Other than Iran, who would be a party to this deal?
Well, Iran could be too if the people of Iran rise.
Is that an invitation?
It's been something that I think that many of them want. Many of them want to relieve themselves of that tyranny. And they openly say, I send videos to them and I'm amazed. Bill, I'm amazed. Millions and millions of respondents from Iran, sometimes with their names and even their faces. You can't believe that they're doing that, but it shows you the thirst for liberation there. So, but if the liberation of Iran will happen because we delivered a very strong blow to Iran's seeming invincibility, and the people will rise from within. But who are the countries that we know we could make peace with? Once we finish the war in Gaza, I think there are at least 5 or 6 countries here in the Middle East. And President Trump and I have talked about it a great deal. And he's been just an unbelievable partner.
When did you talk to him last?
A few days ago.
Okay, so this week?
No, I think it was last week, I think. But we talk every week or so.
You talked to Vladimir Putin recently?
Yes.
A couple times?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
Well, I can tell you what I told him. I said that I took note of the fact that he said that Iran should not have nuclear enrichment, which is the American position, and our position. I thought that was very good. And I also said that I hoped that he'd come to an agreement with President Trump.
On Ukraine.
Right.
Why is he so bad at propaganda? Because he doesn't need to be good. Again, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it. Also, defending Israel's monstrous actions at this stage is virtually impossible. Like, there is no expert level propaganda that you can craft. Like, the best possible thing that they could do is probably obfuscate, deny, shut off internet, which is what they're doing already, but information is still coming out. So at that point, what are you supposed to do? People see fucking dead children and shit, starving children, and all he can do is, oh, well, Hamas killed them. That's it. That's the only thing you have. The only thing you have at your disposal is but Hamas. And he just keeps saying it over and over again. The interview is just letting him talk with no pushback. I know. But the situation is so in-fucking defensible that it doesn't even matter that there's no pushback, because the average person that's even a little bit knowledgeable on this goes, oh, this is fucking bullshit. Like, I don't think that the but Hamas narrative is working. Even amongst a population of Americans that fucking actively despise Muslims and Arabs and is like, so scary. Hamas is so scary. I don't think it's working. There are plenty of people that were horrified after October 7 that were going, yeah, do as much death and destruction, that are now turning around and be like, yeah, this is fucked up.
We'll see if we get that piece. Yep. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good to talk to you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So far as we can tell, it's the first time he's been asked directly about the allegations of genocide and also the allegations of starvation in Gaza. While that's happening,
no, the Nelk Boys did it first. And not only that, but the response was the same. And you also, just like the Nelk Boys, didn't give him any pushback. I told you.
Andrew, there's also there's a lot of reaction globally, as you can imagine. Gaza is one within Gaza. Hamas, with many of their leaders in Qatar, have already responded, saying that this new offensive shows Netanyahu's aims to sacrifice the hostages and serve his own personal interests. So we're reaching that point right now where we'll get reaction from the Security Cabinet meeting and see what the next move is.
Yeah, and the Israeli Prime Minister sending obviously a very firm message on many fronts there, including the plans to occupy Gaza, but also on the humanitarian situation with the Palestinians and, of course, the fate of the hostages. Bill, what he said in response to your question about the 20 hostages who are believed to still be alive, 50 hostages still remain. We're doing everything in our power to salvage the hostages because, Bill, of course, there is so much concern from the families of those hostages that as Israel moves in, what does that mean for those hostages? And he sent a very firm message that they are doing everything in their power for them.
Yeah, and many Israelis are well aware that the closer the IDF,
and the Democratic Party wants to give cover to people like Mahmoud Khalil. The administration had a whole plan to deport him because he lied on his visa application. And this is what he said in his latest interview with Ezra Klein about October the 7th, how he saw it. Watch.
October 7th happens. What do you think that day?
To me, it felt frightening that we had to reach this moment in the Palestinian struggle.
What moment is this?
You can see that the situation is not sustainable. You have an Israeli government that's absolutely ignoring Palestinians. It's clear like it's becoming more and more violent. So that's what I mean by like, unfortunately, we couldn't avoid such a moment.
I understood that as something Hamas must have wanted, right? Pull Israel into this attack, pull it into some kind of war. Was that your perception?
To me, it's a desperate attempt to the word that Palestinians are here, that Palestinians are part of the equation. That was my interpretation of why Hamas did October 7 attacks on Israel.
October 7th was obviously an operation that did kill a lot of civilians. Do you see that is unavoidable, that Hamas had no other choice? Do you see it as a mistake?
There's nothing can justify the killing of civilians. Also, like there's an...
Bro, it's actually crazy. When people were like, oh, Ezra Klein interviewed Mahmoud Khalil, I was like, oh, he probably didn't do the condom hummus shit at this point, right? It turns out, no, he did do that. Like, that's crazy. Also, Fox News is like, didn't you say he wouldn't do this? I thought he at least was a better room reader than to not fucking do this. Turns out, no, he is. God damn. Which is crazy because, like, even the conversations that he was having with, like, Ta-Nehisi Coates, like, a long time ago, he had more restraint than the way he is talking to Mahmoud Khalil. Perhaps it's because he respects Ta-Nehisi Coates, and Mahmoud Khalil is a Palestinian, so he does not get that same level of respect.
Another point to this, Ezra, Palestinians don't have to be perfect victims.
He's rationalizing the October 7th attack, saying it's a desperate attempt.
Bro, that's so funny. They're hitting the same lines that they hit me. They're doing the same shit.
To make sure the world knows the plight of Gazans at the hands of Israel. He was born to Palestinian parents in Syria. He was the student at Columbia. He's the ringleader of the anti-Israel activism on campus. And think about October 7th. After that happened, there have been so many hate crimes across our country since then. And the FBI's 2024 hate crime report has revealed that Jews are the most targeted religious group in the United States. And much of that is because of the hateful rhetoric being spewed at these college campuses, at all of these riots. And it all goes back to October 7th it happened because of a terrorist attack. It was a terrorist organization. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and we have individuals who are supporting it here in America.
Yeah, and you see Khalil here, he was the ringleader, Ainsley, as you point out. But let's go back. Remember in March, when he gets picked up and arrested, it was Democrats who immediately took to defend him. We're going back to a March post from
this is awesome.
Senator Dick Durbin.
You want to know something? This is like unironically giving clout to the Democrats that they don't even fucking deserve, by the way. Okay? Because this shit, like constantly complaining about Mahmoud Khalil in the worst possible way, just being like, oh, he's a terrorist, he's a terrorist, put him in jail. And the Democrats defended him. Look at this radical that the Democrats defended. Okay, cool, good. I wish they did. I wish they actively and aggressively pursued his release.
Ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, simply with this picture saying free Mahmoud Khalil. Now, obviously, a judge currently has said that he can't be deported, but Tom Homan in this administration said ultimately this story ends with Khalil being deported. Why? Not only, as you point out, Lawrence, that he appears to have lied on his immigration papers, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio went in to revoke his immigration status because his anti-Semitic violent activities on the college campus runs contrary to U.S. interest to preventing.
Shut up.
Well, the race for New York City
Mayor Adams says focuses on New York City, not on potential Trump-Cuomo mayor race alliance.
Mayor is heating up. The New York Times reports that President Trump may be getting involved and back former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Natalie Duddridge has reaction from the other candidates.
Yeah, Donald Trump is going to boost Cuomo, which will probably hurt Cuomo's chances.
Well, Cindy, that's right. One of the candidates we just heard from, Zoran Mamdani, he just held a press conference here at the corner, which wrapped up a couple minutes ago. He addressed that New York Times article, and in it, and he responded saying that Andrew Cuomo, President Trump are trying to work together to derail his campaign, and he told supporters that he and his team will not be intimidated.
Former Governor Cuomo has been conspiring with President Trump.
Mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani reacted to a New York Times report that President Donald Trump has been considering whether to back former Governor Andrew Cuomo in a bid to block Mamdani, whose platform includes freezing rents and taxing the rich.
We know that this former governor has very little regard, whether it be for the Democratic Party, the democratic process, or for Democrats themselves.
The New York Times story says Trump has held calls with Cuomo's team. The president was asked about it Wednesday in the Oval Office.
Did you have a phone call with Andrew Cuomo? Did you speak to Andrew Cuomo?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Cuomo's camp reacted, saying in a statement, the governor and the president have not spoken in some time. As far as I know, they have not discussed the race.
Mayor Adams was asked Thursday morning about the Times report and if he had spoken to President Trump about the mayor's race.
My conversations with the president.
Trump is so funny because he's like, I'm going to put my name out there for Andrew Cuomo, who just like me was on the Epstein files. That's right. Me and Andrew Cuomo, both Epstein affiliates, both defending one another. Thanks, man.
President is about bringing resources to the city. That is my conversation with the president. I think the president loved New York. I think everyone see what, the threats that we're facing. And I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to stay focused, no distractions, and grind. I have a campaign to run.
The New York Times article also said Trump expressed doubts about the one Republican candidate, Curtis Sliwa's chances, who has not allied himself with Trump.
There's no doubt he talks often with Eric Adams. He talks often with Cuomo, who he's known. Their families have known one another. He doesn't talk to me. So I've advised the president publicly, be like Switzerland. Stay out of this race.
Now, as for President Trump, if he does decide officially to weigh in, it's hard to predict whether that would help or hurt Cuomo. That's the latest here from Lower Manhattan. Natalie Duddridge, CBS News, New York.
Natalie, thank you.
I would be remiss if I did not directly address some of the news that we saw come out just a few hours ago, which is that the president of this country, Donald Trump, has been coordinating with Andrew Cuomo in direct conversation with the former governor. It is Trump billionaires who have been opposing our campaign's vision for a city that New Yorkers can afford. It is Donald Trump himself who has been directly conspiring with candidates who have decided to give up the people that they are supposed to protect in lieu of securing power through the assistance of that same administration in Washington, D.C. This should be a race about addressing the questions of who will make the city affordable, who will ensure that each and every New Yorker is safe, who will bring our city forward, not an audition for the best jester for Donald Trump and his billionaire supporters. Whatever Donald Trump seeks to do to influence the outcome of this election, I have more faith in New Yorkers themselves, who have shown, whether it be in the previous presidential election or whether it be through this primary race, that they do not want to support our current president's vision of a New York City that is ripping immigrants from their homes, that is detaining New Yorkers on the basis of political expression, that in fact what they want is someone who can stand up to an authoritarian administration and to the billionaires that gave us that administration.
After months of pauses and extensions overnight,
The president has 3 candidates in this race, says Zoran.
3 candidates in this race. One, the fact is that the president has 3 candidates in this race. One that he's directly been in touch with, another that he bailed out of legal trouble and now functionally controls, and the final one literally being a member of the same Republican Party. And then there is our campaign, which won the Democratic nomination with the most votes of anyone in the history of party primaries, a campaign which remains laser focused on an economic agenda to help New Yorkers afford the city they call home. I think the choice is clear. The fact is that the president has 3 candidates in this race. One that he's directly been in touch with, another.
This guy creates MAGA AI bots to go after Zoran. He's Indian from Minnesota and lives in Canada. Meet the 24-year-old Ottawa software engineer who runs a MAGA bot. Okay, everything that I learned about Canada means that he is at least a definite, real software engineer. Okay? Because if he's also a fake software engineer, if he is a fake software engineer, he could potentially see a lot of legal trouble. I am not an engineer. I do have a political science degree. I'm a political scientist. Oh, is this the City Desk New York City account? The account, which is run by an artificial intelligence bot, spits out more than 1,000 posts a day, responding to mentions of the Democratic nominee for mayor. The posts disparage Mamdani and his proposed policies while praising some of his political opponents. Oh, I've seen that bot. Saihaj Preet Singh is a 24-year-old software engineer who graduated from Carleton University 2 years ago. And City Desk New York City is just one of his AI bots looking to reshape political public relations. Last year, Singh, who has been coding since he was 7 years old, built an AI bot called Doge AI that posts around 2,000 times a day on X with a right-wing MAGA flair and an output no human could match. Doge AI, which has amassed more than 127,000 followers, has criticized Democrats and applauded Donald Trump and his supporters, attracting retweets by American president and his former ally, Elon Musk. This shit's so funny because, like, the same movement that this dude is propping up would see him deported from the country. Like, does he at no point go, oh my God, every single person that is following the account that I made, the AI account that I made, keeps saying, we have to kick every Indian out of the country, you know? Like, is there no, like, how do you do that? Because I feel like if everybody fucking constantly despised me for things that I can't change about myself, at a certain point, I'd probably reflect on this, like, unholy allegiance I've cultivated in my mind, you know? It doesn't make any fucking sense. No views, but this bot has tweeted about you. Zohran Mamdani's alliance with Hassan Piker Shrimmer, who mocks Jewish trauma and dismisses Hamas atrocities, proves he's unfit to lead a city battling record anti-Semitism. Mamdani's refusal to sign Holocaust condemnation resolutions in his legislator Curtis Lewa, a law and order leader who torched the activist rackets. And then this is the other one. Zohran Mamdani's entire campaign is a performative circus, kissing Hassan Piker's socialist pipe dreams, while New Yorkers foot the bill. His radical agenda, rent freezes that collapse housing markets, defunded police that spike crime, and city-run grocery stores that make bodegas look like five-star markets. Mamdani's not here to govern. He's here to grift, virtue signal, and turn New York City into a DSA petri dish. Keep the gifts. We'll keep the receipts on his economic malpractice. Awesome. Everything is getting worse every single day at an alarming rate, with seemingly no solution to it. But once again, I must urge you to not look away and to succumb to nihilistic tendencies, nihilistic frameworks, because that's what your enemies want you to do. So instead, I'm going to pepper in some fun stuff here. Here is the right-wing influencer civil war, which ignited over ring size. We're going to be covering that. I've been excited to talk about that. This is really funny. Finally, some fun. The girlies are fighting. The girlies are angry. The girlies are fighting. It's the Hagalina battle to end all battles. And you might not be surprised to hear this, but a big part of the argument revolves around saying to the other person that they have sexual intercourse with black men. That is, I guess, the ultimate, the ultimate bad thing you can do in these circles, which I think probably explains exactly how fucking insane these people are. No, straight up. It's not even a joke. They just straightforwardly will be like, well, you fucked a black guy. That's like the epic own. Just straight up fucking neo-Nazi shit.
There is a civil war brewing right now between right-wing influencers after one of them got engaged over the weekend, and then another one of them called her ring small, and all hell is broken loose. People are being accused of all sorts of things. All the dirt in the rumors in that world is out in the open right now, and nobody's backing down. This is Sarah Stock. She's the one who got engaged. She has hundreds of thousands of followers. She's been on Jubilee videos. And everything kicked off this weekend when she tweeted out, "I won," in a photo of her hand. Congratulations to her on her engagement. Most people are congratulating her. Pearl Davis, who is an infamous person on the internet, got involved and said, hottest right-wing e-girl taken off the market. And then Emily Saves America responded by saying, the ring size. Pearl said, I don't think the size matters, but I just wonder why men can't do nice things for us without it being public anymore. Which, I mean, most people post when they get engaged, Pearl. And then Emily said, size matters. This is Emily Wilson. She posts videos on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. She's MAGA. She's on Fox News. She's pretty popular. Sarah responded by saying, where's your ring, Emily? Which, in most places, Emily would respond back, and it would be the end of that. But then things got crazy. Ian Smith, a fitness influencer who was famous for keeping his gym open during the COVID lockdowns in New Jersey, he quote tweeted and said, unwed, childless Fox News girl boss who complains when woman makes sourdough now hates on ring size of a happily engaged young woman. Congrats, bozo, you were feminist. Emily then responds, I mean, she's a fighter. She responds by saying, between allegedly cheating on your wife, being caught with a up your ass, killing a teenager with your first of 2 DUIs, you really should sit this one out. Morgan Ariel, who I hadn't heard of until this, got involved and said, you give it up for free. Might want to sit this one out at Emily Saves USA. Morgan Ariel's a nationalist, Christian culture commentator, lioness for Jesus Christ. Emily, as I said, fighter, laying it all out there This isn't true like in the UFC when two fighters just come and meet in the middle of the octagon and just throw it. Like, she's fighting. Morgan, your baby daddy abandoned you. Yet somehow you think you are better than me or anyone on this app. You gave it up for free, got left in the dust, and now you post rage bait on X to supplement the inadequacy of your monthly child support. You may think this is the craziest it gets, right, Jack? No. Morgan then comes from over the top rope and says, Emily, everything you just said is not true, but then accuses her of this. You got, with the fingers, in the middle.
You got fingered in the middle of a hotel lobby at a TP USA event while everybody watched and there were families around. You brag about having sex with married MAGA dads and doing drugs. You've been completely ran through by both single and married men in the MAGA right.
Of a hotel lobby at a TP USA, which is a Turning Point USA event. That's Charlie Kirk's company. While everyone watched and there were families around, you brag about.
Emily's definitely a grifter. My best friend from high school hangs out with her, shaking my head. I don't understand. Like, there's dudes in the movement. Like, this is, dude. Of course they're grifters. Every single one of these people are grifters. Of course they're grifters. God forbid a girl has hobbies. Yeah, I mean, no shit. They're awful people. I don't give a fuck that she got fingered to the lobby of a Turning Point USA event. What I care about in that situation is like, why isn't she a normal person who's doing that? You know what I mean? Morgan, your baby daddy abandoned you. You're raising a bastard child. Are you familiar with Brooklyn, New York? And would you ever like to go there? If so, that's awesome. Braces on the hunt.
Having or sleeping with married MAGA dads and doing drugs. You have been completely ran through by both single and married men in the right wing. You call young these losers and encourage them to have premarital, and you are pro-abortion. If you thought those accusations / allegations were going to stop Emily, wrong. It's
gonna be hard to be a trav wife when your man can't afford a ring. How do you guys expect to have a house, land, multiple kids? Be for fucking real. I hope y'all enjoy working. Sorry, I'm MIA and I'm in the Hamptons. Emily Saves America says conservative men need to stop being broke and gaslighting women like we don't deserve diamonds and rings. So you want me to give up my career, my financial independence, push multiple babies out of my body, cook clean, be loyal and loving, feminine wife forever? And y'all can't even afford a nice ring for us? Get the fuck out. Just admit y'all literally don't like women. You know what's funny about this? One, everyone's a liberal, as I've said over and over again. And two, it's over. Her career as a right-wing broadcaster is done after this. Because a big part of the youth movement wing of the MAGA world revolves around hating women. And this is exactly the type of shit that they hate women say. Okay? It's done. This is worse than when Tommy Lauren came out and was like, actually, I think women should be able to get abortions because that's fucking insane. No, it's over for her. 100%. She will be disowned by the anti-woke crowd because this sounds positively woke. By the way, one of the funniest parts about all of this is that they use feminism as a pejorative in these conversations. Like, they'll be like, you sound like a feminist, which is so funny. Wow, you sound like a good person who believes women should be equal to men, you fucking idiot.
She likes to fight. She put on X this morning. It's going to be hard to be a trad.
You sound like an egalitarian. Fuck you. Let's see what her other posts are. She's been posting. Just admit you're gay. So men are supposed to drop 2-3 months salary for an engagement ring. What is the equivalent for women? What do they do in return? The funny thing is none of these people are making fun of the ring. None of these people making fun of the ring are actually wealthy. A bunch of broke wannabes trying to flex about ring size, which is of course something that only a broke wannabe would do. Xavier Durousseau says the actual white supremacists on this app are so broke. How are you superior wearing a gumball machine engagement ring? Lol. Rob Smith, skull emoji. Sarah Stock says this can't be real. Matt Walsh defends Sarah Stock. So input is coming in from Black Republican content creators because both Rob Smith and Xavier Durousseau, I think, are like also they are the Republican new wave of like Republican influencers themselves, but they are shitting on the active white supremacist flank of the right. So this is like also taking a different turn here, where there's the regular OG. The regular OG, pro-Republican Party conservative pro-Republican Party conservative commentators. And then there is like Matt Walsh, who's in the middle. He's like a bridge. He is far right. He's alt-right, but he won't like openly say he hates like Jews or whatever because he's, you know, working for the Daily Wire, of course, which is why you'll see a lot of Matt Walsh's responses from his audience that he's cultivated be like, why are you still working with the Jew, Ben Shapiro? Why are you still working with the Jew? Why are you still working with Jews? Like over and over again. And Matt Walsh is like, no, guys. Remember when he did that thing where he posted that AI photo of the swastika? He's like, no, you don't understand. Please, I assume he went to have a conversation with Ben Shapiro and he was like, Ben, I have to post the swastika. We're losing all of our Nazis. You're too Jewish. I have to post the swastika. Please don't get mad at me. And Ben was like, of course, I understand that. As long as you're pro-Israel, who cares? You know, I've never cared. The only reason why I cared about Candace Owens being a anti-Semite was because she became anti-Israel. And then Matt Walsh posted that, and then it quieted all the fucking white supremacists for a little bit, you know? And the white supremacists was like, oh, he's with us, never mind. He posted a swastika. Anyway, Matt Walsh is still back to his old tricks. The funny thing is none of these people are making fun of the Ring are actually wealthy. He's like shitting on the other Republican commentators who are black. But just like the Republican ladies, if you are from a marginalized identity or group that is being actively hunted by the Republican Party as like the primary villain, you kind of fucking deserve it. Okay? Sorry, you just kind of deserve it. It turns out you're not part of the team, little bro. And neither is fucking Sarah Stock or Emily Save America either, for the record. There's only one team there. And you're only as valuable as you can continue to fucking defend white supremacy. Okay? Yeah, they're not part of the team too. Sarah's only currently part of the team because she's like more white supremacist than the black dudes are in the PragerU contingency. Anyway, let's continue. Matt calling us broke for not liking a busted ring is so unserious. I'm not broke. I just have taste. Y'all keep trying to guilt women into accepting the bare minimum, and then he get mad when we're not impressed. Heal. This is the stupidest fucking conversation that could have like unfolded in this like spectacular drama. If you're not willing to be ran through and pop out babies while living in a trailer park, then you're obviously a feminist. Yeah, white male supremacy, patriarchal white supremacy. That's exactly what this is if you defend it, it doesn't matter how fucking stupid you are. They'll defend you to a certain degree. You are still ultimately going to be discarded. Okay? These guys didn't defend it unconditionally, seemingly. They went after one of the soldiers of white patriarchal white supremacy, and now they're getting called all the words under the sun. Okay, who the hell are you calling me broke? Now you suddenly get to assume that I'm oppressed? Lol. I'm far from a wannabe. I am exactly who and where I need to be. The only reason I clocked her $70 ring is because she spews literal white supremacy, but is far from superior. So what I don't understand here is that, like, are you saying that if she had a fatter ring, then you'd be fine with her being a white supremacist? I guess you would, because, you work for PragerU. That is your job. Like, this argument is so fucking stupid. Like, it's so dumb. Why is money the primary metric of supremacy here? Revolting sex smear against glamorous Fox star rocks Trump world as vicious war ignites over tiny Etsy engagement ring. Sorry, I assumed you were broke because of your low-class behavior and the fact that you have no audience or fan base. But I guess you could have money from your parents or from winning scratch-offs or something. I shouldn't have assumed you're right. Oh, dude. Matt is such a pussy because he wants to call him the N-word with a hard R. And I suspect he already has, right? Like, in private, but he can't type it out. But I thought woke was dead, Matt. Why don't you just say it? I know you want to. He probably typed it and then deleted it. Like, I wonder what he means when he says low-class behavior or you won this money winning scratch-offs. Wonder what he was implying there. Matt calling us broke for not liking a busted ring is so unserious. I'm not broke. I just have taste. Y'all keep blah, blah, blah. Matt, you've been in this industry for over a decade and still sound this bitter. I've been in it for like 5 minutes, built everything from scratch with no family money, no team, no network, just me. And I'm already under your skin from Los Angeles of all places. You seem pent up. Maybe go make love to your wife instead of fighting women online. God, these people are fucking arguing like little babies. I'm starting to feel like men on the right just hate women, especially the attractive ones. So funny how when a woman is successful, it's immediately dismissed, saying, I come from money. I don't. Maybe this is why we can't get women to vote Republican and lose elections. This is just pure liberalism at the end. Low-class behavior. Meanwhile, he's supporting a pedophile. I can't stress this enough. Every single person involved in this is a villain, and therefore, I am not siding with one side over the other. And secondly, you're absolutely correct, but I'll take it one step further. Matt Walsh himself has actively defended pedophilia. So it's not only that he is supporting a pedophile, he might even be a pedophile. And he has certainly talked about how 16-year-old girls are the most virile, okay? We're the most fertile. So I guess he's honest in that regard. I don't know. Yeah, that's right. Matt, what is a minor Walsh? Exactly. Anyway, let's get back to the summary.
When your man can't even afford a ring, how do you guys expect to have a house, land, multiple kids? Be for real. I hope y'all enjoy working. Sorry I'm MIA. She puts on Instagram, conservative men need to stop being broke and gaslighting women. We don't deserve diamonds and rings. So you want me to give up my job, my career, my financial independence, push multiple babies out of my body, cook, clean, be loyal, and loving feminine wife forever, and y'all can't even afford a nice ring for us? GTFO. Admit y'all literally don't like women. By the time you're...
Emily's mad because the ring obtaining white supremacist doesn't have the cred necessary from her POV to claim that title and should only qualify as a white inferiorist. Yeah. Only if you have a fat enough ring can you fucking claim to be a Nazi, which is ironic because like a big chunk of white supremacy is literally about that exact inferiority. That I might be broke, I might be poor, I might be living in a fucking trailer park, but at least I'm not black. That is the fucking underlying reason for white supremacist sentiment. That is what motivates a lot of people to refuse to tackle this issue from a class perspective and instead hyper focus on like some kind of mythological superiority that they have only because of this intrinsic quality. Okay? That's what white supremacy is. It's so that fucking working white poor people feel a sense of false superiority only by putting others down on the basis of their racial identity, on the basis of their race, so they can fucking feel good. All matter of different kinds of like tribalist, or even like nationalist ideology. All matter of like reactionary sentiment comes from this self-perceived inferiority that they try to mask with some semblance of racial superiority.
Watching this video, there may be more to this, but yeah, my conclusion here is I need a reality show of all these people. I don't want it to be playing out on social.
White on white crime. Emily went so far right she turned left. Emily Wilson may have bad opinions, but she is entertaining. I'm kind of confused whose side Emily is on. Yeah, one of the things that is really funny that continued on was, of course, is it real? Is it actually real that Just Pearly, whatever the fuck, is actually dating a black dude who she then actually defended by saying he's not black, he's Dominican, or is that just a fucking joke? Did she actually say he's not black, he's Dominican? Oh my God. I think, well, first of all, I can't stress this enough. This is a self-inflicted wound. And by that, I don't mean like, oh, it's a self-inflicted wound that you're dating a black person. I mean, the idea that somehow is a bad thing. The notion of dating a black person being somehow like a bad thing, that is the self-inflicted wound, which is really interesting because it seems like you want to date black dudes. So why are you still a white supremacist? This makes no sense. Because someone goes, was she talking about your current boyfriend or your old one? Which leads me to believe, oh my God, was it Choco Latino? Oh my God. Everyone is having so much fun with this. Lots of racist white women date black men. Okay, but like, you're not supposed to keep being racist in the process. Even the darkest Dominican will never say they're black except when they want to use the N-word. Okay, I'm not even talking about the I'm not black, Poppy, I'm Dominican shit, okay? Which is, that's certainly funny for that reason, okay? I get it.
I know black. Imposible. I know black. I'm Dominican. I'm Puerto Rican. I know black. Be looking just like me. Be having the same hair. I be touching you like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same, papi. It's not the same. They try to salsa that shit off. I be like, no, it's not the same. I know black. Negro nunca. I know no, nunca. I know black. I'm like,
I mean, it's just funny that she did that while also being a white supremacist. Racist Karens date black men so they can keep being racist, and the black men who date them entertain their bullshit in ways black women do not. That makes sense. As a black man who has dated racist white women, they get more racist when in the relationship somehow. Chatter, I would not be revealing that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a good time to be like, no, I did that shit. I mean, thank you for your contribution, but that's crazy to admit. You know what I mean? Especially right now while we're talking about, like, I guess Ann Coulter did it too, though. She did it too. That was the most desperate for pussy voice I've ever seen in the chat. Like, he typed it out and I can still hear it. That's crazy. That's crazy. He's like, listen, I dated a racist white woman, okay? Anyway, not the race kink on Maine. My sister is a racist that dated black men, though she recently switched to white men because I think she reached a tipping point on being too racist. What is going on? Some of y'all have criminals in your immediate vicinity. What the fuck? Honestly, classic Midwest. So confusing. I need a blinker checkpoint. Yeah. Okay. But I want to know where this has gone. I want to know where else this drama went to. But I will say it's funny that I have dated a racist white lady as a brown. Just to let you know, I didn't know when I was getting to know her, but she made a whole lot of exotic comments. I think you're too Turkish for this one. A lot of the South is like this. I work with a white girl who only dates black guys, and she's racist as hell. What the fuck? Yo, America is busted, bro. We will never fix this country. I'm convinced now. Okay? It's done. It's over. Like, I don't even understand. I don't understand what the fuck this is. Like, what do you do with that? Racist coochie. Coastal elitist Hassan, get the fuck out. This guy literally is like, no, dude, if you tell me I can't have sex with racist white girls, then get the fuck out. If you don't like it, leave, brother. My brother is the most racist dude I've met, and he's dating a black girl. It's an epidemic. What? Are Americans all really into like race play? Is that what it is? Is that what's going on? This makes no damn sense. Like, it's very freaky. It's very strange stuff. I like my pussy Republican ass shit, I guess. Calm down, Kaya. Calm down, Kaya. Wait, hold up. Kaya's groomers are here. All right. It's time. It's time for Trump's mass tariffs now in effect. What do they mean? Going to be an enlightening conversation for many of you. I didn't realize there was mad chatters in here being like there is an epidemic of people doing race play in the chat. Shameful.
President Trump's punishing new tariffs finally snapping into effect. More than 90 countries now facing tariffs ranging from 15% to as high as 41%, while almost all imported goods remain subject to a 10% tariff. Those tariffs will be paid by companies, but economists warn the costs may be passed on to consumers. Experts warning Americans could now face higher prices on everything from electronics and toys to clothes, furniture, cars, and produce. The president is betting tariffs will drive up manufacturing in the U.S., a strategy some experts doubt.
Under the Trump administration, we're doing everything possible to make this the best place on earth to build a factory or grow businesses.
Tech giant Apple responding to the president's demands. Trump standing side by side with the company's CEO, Tim Cook, in the Oval Office, touting Apple's new pledge to invest an additional $100 billion in U.S. manufacturing. Apple now saying it will use glass made in Kentucky on iPhones and watches.
This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America.
But the company is stopping short of giving the president what he really wants, iPhones fully made in the U.S. Experts say it's not realistic to make an iPhone in America because of lack of infrastructure, workforce, and supply chain. The president also says more tariffs could be on the way, including across-the-board tariffs on semiconductors and chips. A move that could drive up prices even more for electronics appliances and cars.
If you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge.
But Matt Hassett, the founder of the small business Lofty, says they can't make any of their alarm clocks in the U.S.
It's not just the product, putting it together. That could be done here. It would be more expensive here, and we'd have to pass that on to consumers. But there's no network here for all these suppliers of these components.
Yeah, America is a small business, dude. If America truly was a small business, on the one hand, you had Kamala wanting to give $50K to the small businesses. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is literally eviscerating all small businesses. Like, he is destroying small business. He's destroying it. Hold on. Fucking gray.
And as the president hopes to turn up the pressure on Russia, he says he will now be doubling the tariffs on India, raising them from 25% to 50% in the coming weeks. He says that's punishment because the country continues to buy Russian oil, guys.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for that. But Rebecca, all eyes are on the market this morning.
Yeah, all eyes on the markets. They seem to be taking it in stride, mostly because this was already anticipated. It's not a big surprise at this point. There's also that workaround that you just heard about in Rachel's piece. If companies commit to building out manufacturing here in the U.S., the president says they don't have to pay these tariffs, and Apple is now one of those companies. The big tech companies are willing to play ball with this administration, but what you heard there from the small business, they have less at their disposal. They have fewer assets, fewer resources to make that work.
Still affecting a lot of businesses.
Yes, it is.
In the wrong way.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Rebecca.
Something to watch. Rebecca, thank you.
Ghislaine Maxwell has
It felt
cleared
like
Donald
Vladimir
Trump.
Putin was giving us a clue. His meeting with one leader in the Kremlin today, signaling where he might meet another, the United Arab Emirates.
I can't be the only one that thinks like this kind of grandiose behavior and like massive halls and shit still kind of hits. Like big ass, when you got to do like world changing events, like when you got to do like negotiations about what happens with the rest of the globe, like you got to do it at a big ass table. You know what I mean? You cannot be doing negotiations in a fucking tiny table. Like it can't be a conference room table either. It has to be like, it has to have motif to it, you know? I don't know if it's because like I'm too Ottoman pilled or something, but like you need to have ornaments, you know? That's just me. This man got so old. This man Hasanabi got so old. What the hell? Why? Because I appreciate the effort people put in, you know? Is it true most leader in the West are Jews? No. What the fuck? That's the guy who asked me to get the hell out of the country because he wanted to fuck racist pussy, by the way. That's that guy. Follow-up question. He's like, get the hell out. If you don't want me to have sex with racist white women, you need to get the fuck out of this stupid country. Nah, this is way too czarist pilled, man. Look how gaudy that bullshit is. At least have some taste if you're going to do something grandiose.
Appears to be the most likely venue for the summit with Donald Trump after the Russian president held talks.
Like,
with
look
the
how
Gulf
big that room is. That's crazy. Look how big the fucking room is, bro. That's wild to me. That's wild. Yeah. Ironically enough, the only Jewish leader in the Western world is Claudia Sheinbaum, and she's literally anti-Israel, or at least a lot more anti-Israel than the American leadership is, certainly. I guess Zelensky too, but Zelensky doesn't really count. Zelensky is the one that's most fucked over by Israel, ironically enough, also.
States leader.
We have many friends who are ready to help us organize such meetings. One of them is the president of the United Arab Emirates, so I think we'll decide on something. This would be one of the very suitable places.
Their last summit was in 2018, and the next could be in a matter of days. Donald Trump is desperate for a deal on Ukraine, but it sounds like Moscow sees benefits too.
This, of course, can become an important historic event, an event when Russia's position will be clearly conveyed to President Trump, and we hope that this dialogue will continue even more actively, including in the economic area.
For the White House, though, the priority is peace. It had given Russia until Friday to end the war or face sanctions. News of the summit came after US envoy Steve Witkoff's visit to Moscow, but it doesn't necessarily...
Like, look at that table, bro. You gotta have a weird fucking table. If you're gonna have a convo like this, it's gotta be on a table like that. This is nothing to do with like Vladimir Putin's position on this, okay? I am anti-Putin. I do wish, however, we had like similar weird shit. Justice League type table. Yeah. I don't like the color palette too much.
mean there'll be a ceasefire.
On the one hand, a summit could mean that a significant point of agreement has been reached, and all that's needed...
They're building the ballroom, dog. No, but it doesn't hit the same because it's not like, it wasn't built like fucking 400 years ago. You know what I mean? It's being built now. It's going to be made with like fucking drywall, and all of the modern techniques that we adopt is not going to have like fancy ornaments that people literally fucking toiled away making and probably died in the process of building. Okay? That's what I mean. There's like a history associated with this. It's just like lame ass, gaudy ass, drywall ass, gold coated bullshit. I don't like that. We need fucking artisans, you know? Yeah, American culture. Trump's gonna serve McDonald's in there. Exactly. Your country has literally no history nor culture aside from Gunburger. No, I know. This is why. Wait, what? Someone said something about Catholicism. It's the one thing that I like about Catholicism. That's true.
Now, for the leaders to sign off on it. On the other hand, it could just be for show, a tactic by Russia to temper US anger. They could just be agreeing to something that gives the illusion of progress, which in reality delivers anything but.
Well, I know that...
This expert in US-Russia relations sees grounds for optimism.
Trump is not stupid, you know, he has his own deadlines. If he has a summit for nothing, that would put him in a rather embarrassing position back at home and also with his allies, because he has invested a lot.
But Russia has left the American president disappointed before.
Every smart guy, every intelligent guy has to literally just actively lie on camera and be like, he's not stupid, he's a smart guy. That's just not true, man. Especially on this issue, he has actively looked like a complete moron. Bro, he straight up tweeted, Vladimir, stop. What do you mean? Only a stupid person would do that. 3 years of this war and Russia has won, yet talks of a settlement is insane still to the West. I mean, I don't think it's... I was going to talk about this side of the story as well. Well, not this. Hold on. And not this. And not this. And not this. Not this either. Where the fuck is it? God damn it. Oh, here. This. Ukrainian support for a war effort has collapsed. I think a lot more Ukrainians are aware of the situation than the way that like the liberal media has presented it. Okay. Having said that, it is still really fucked up that America is using Ukraine continuously as a fleshlight instead of trying to settle this and then help Ukraine as much as possible.
And there's still no sign it's willing to compromise yet. Ivor Bennett, Sky News, Moscow.
It's also crazy because like motherfuckers still will talk about me being like pro-Russia or whatever. And it's like, this is precisely what I said that was going to happen. And it's happening in real time. And the people who said, no, it's never going to happen. Ukraine is inevitably going to win. Ukraine is winning the war. Ukraine is winning the war over and over and over again, demanding that like, demanding that the fucking people throw themselves in the fucking meat grinder and saying that Ukraine, when it had the maximum amount of leverage, should have pushed for a fucking ceasefire instead of being duped into relitigating this war effort at the behest of Western powers who literally suffer nothing in the process. They're all still yelling. They're still yelling. Ukrainian support for war effort collapses. Public sours on Washington. Loses hope for quick NATO ascension. London. Most Ukrainians now favor ending the war with Russia through negotiations, as support for fighting until victory has dropped sharply since the early days of the conflict. Although their hopes for joining NATO and the European Union have faded and approval of U.S. leadership has plummeted, Ukrainians still see the EU, UK, and U.S. as a key to ending the war. Yet most doubt that will happen anytime soon. More than 3 years into the war, Ukrainian support for continuing to fight until victory has hit a new low. In Gallup's most recent poll of Ukraine, conducted in early July, 69% say they favor a negotiated end to the war as soon as possible, compared with 24% who support continuing to fight until victory. This marks nearly a complete reversal from public opinion in 2022, when 73% favored Ukraine fighting until victory and 22% preferred that Ukraine seek a negotiated end as soon as possible. Like the Ukrainians have had a majority opinion since 2024. Majority of the Ukrainian public has been saying Ukraine should seek to negotiate an end to the war as soon as possible since 2024. Support for the war effort has declined steadily across all segments of the Ukrainian population, regardless of the region or demographic group. This shift comes as diplomatic efforts gain new traction. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled readiness for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, proposing renewed negotiations. UK says they're ready to send troops as the US leads the effort. Dude, this is first of all, why would the fucking US lead the effort as a nuclear power? And the UK is not going to fucking send troops. They know that they're only saying that because they know America's not going to send troops. It's just like, there were so many fucking off-ramps. There were so many fucking off-ramps at every stage. There were so many goddamn off-ramps. All the way from the Minsk agreement, all the way from, not even before then, 2008, George W. Bush on his way out being like, I'm going to bring in Georgia and Ukraine into NATO out of fucking nowhere. All the way to the Minsk agreements and not following through on the conditions of the Minsk agreements. All the way to the ceasefire negotiation that was put forward, a 15-point plan in Antalya, when Ukraine had the maximum amount of leverage and Russia did not have control over nearly as much Ukrainian territory as it did. Every single step of the way I said, now is the best time. Now is the best time. Yesterday is the best time to put an end to this. Russia is waging this war in their minds, in their estimation, in the estimation of the third world, at the behest of everyone that has been fucked over by American imperialism. While Russia is engaging in irredentist acts that are unconscionable and unjust and violent and totally immoral, that is the analysis that the rest of the countries around the globe are looking at. That is what they're looking at. They're looking at Ukraine as an extension of the West, and they're looking at, you sound like Israel asking Hamas why they won't just agree to a ceasefire. What do you mean? Hamas has put forward a fucking million ceasefire proposals. Israel's the one who fucked them. No, your analysis is fucking busted here. This is, of course, also completely, you have to be completely oblivious to the fucking conditions on the ground, and not only the conditions on the ground, but also who America is funding in this situation. America has complete control over Israel. They can stop Israel's genocide tomorrow. They don't have the same control over Russia, a country that is a foreign adversary that has designed this entire economy to withstand American sanctions, clearly demonstrated by the fact that they have continued their fucking war for years at this point. Do you not understand? The best possible solution to this was to bring China to the table and come to a reasonable proposal. Okay? Russia is a foreign adversary with nukes. Israel is a foreign ally with nukes. America has complete control over Israel. Saying that Ukraine should just make a deal with someone who has no interest in making a deal, brother, Russia most likely would have taken that deal when they actually incurred penalties and could not literally overtake Kyiv in this supposed military operation that was going to take a week or two. That's why I'm saying Ukraine had maximum leverage at that point. Now it's fucking too late. They already dug in. If Russia wanted a deal, there would have been one. I think that the deal that was presented was already super on Russia's side. Okay? You're never this pragmatic about Palestine. That is literally not true. That is not true. That is objectively untrue. I have demanded a ceasefire in fucking Palestine as well. I have celebrated the efforts of short-term ceasefires, even that allowed a moment of respite for Palestinians, even with the full knowledge that Israel was going to continue bombing anyway. You've been in here. You've heard my words. Do you think Ukraine should just give away some land just because Russia wants it? No, I don't. And I think it's a non-starter at this point, regardless. I don't think they should. But what the fuck is going to happen at this point? Remember, Russia is a foreign adversary. Israel is not. We have complete control over Israel. We do not have complete control over Russia. And my advocacy always has been to bring China into the table so that there is at least a more managed, the guy behind Russia, the country behind Russia that has tremendous global power is China. Okay? So this is not even a conversation or a bargain that you need to do directly with Russia. You need to fucking bring China to the table. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. But instead, we're taking the worst possible outcome here, which is to take Russia at its word when they keep fucking saying over and over again that they're, especially because they're dug in at this point, they are using American politics, a lack of interest from regular Ukrainians to continue this fucking war as an opportunity to demand more land that they've already fucking annexed. That's what happened in the last negotiations process. It's fucking ridiculous. The only way to put an end to all of this is by bringing China into the table as well. Why would China go against Russia and with America? Because they're the most pragmatic motherfuckers on the planet. That's precisely the same reason why China has never stopped trading with Israel in the same process. They're trade maxers. They're trade maxers through and through. So any opportunity that actually stops instability in global trade is an opportunity I think China will take. China is not, especially when it comes to its foreign policy, China is not this like socialist USSR adjacent country that you think it is. This is not China's fight. No, this isn't China's fight. You're right. But China does have a lot of influence over Russia. Braindead shadows like Mr. High will never admit the U.S. and Western allies mislead the Ukrainians to not negotiate when they had a near equal footing with Russia and led them to fight until they lost their footing and are now overwhelmingly in the weaker position. Not only that, but also America's like saying that they want to take over fucking minerals in Ukraine too, whatever that even means. China wants this war to go on forever. They know that the second it's over, NATO will shift its focus to China, will be next on the chopping block. I think that, so since China is trading with Russia, it means that China has leverage. It's not just because of trade. China is a country that's backing Russia. If there are two poles currently, like there were in the Cold War, if America is the one leader, China is the other one on the opposing side. This doesn't mean that they're like heavily involved, but you can absolutely make a deal. You can absolutely make a deal with China in mind. Instead, America has basically decided to go on the full tilt fuck China tip, and we're just trying to bite off more than we can chew. Ukrainians don't even want to keep fighting this war, so chatter is yelling at you should go fight in their place. I mean, sure. Support for the war effort has declined steadily across all segments of the Ukrainian population, regardless of region or demographic group. The shift comes as diplomatic efforts gain new traction. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled readiness for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, proposing renewed negotiations, while U.S. President Donald Trump is attempting to pressure the Kremlin with the threat of sanctions. Despite these moves, the conflict continues largely unabated. Daily missile and drone attacks persist, and fighting remains intense among multiple sections of the front line. Lasting end to active fighting not expected to arrive soon. Though a clear majority of Ukrainians now favor a negotiated end of the war as soon as possible, most are skeptical that active fighting will end soon. 1 in 4, 25% think it's likely that active fighting will come to an end within the next 12 months. Although only 5% see it as very likely. Over 2/3, 68%, over 68% think it's unlikely that active fighting will come to an end in the next year. Ukrainians sour on Washington but see a role for U.S. in the peace negotiations. Ukrainians' view on the most prominent military ally have shifted decisively since the early months of the war. In 2025, 16% of Ukrainians approve of U.S. leadership. No shit. While 73% expressed disapproval, a record high. All the goodwill that Washington built up in 2022 when 66% approved of U.S. leadership has evaporated. I mean, it's been a nosedive ever since, though. Let's be real. Zelensky literally proving you right. Back during his meeting in the U.S., he said there should be only fighting no talks, and now he walked it back, and the majority of the Ukrainian population is also. So what are these chatters saying? Yeah. Ukrainian goodwill towards Washington evaporates. No shit. It is especially a no shit moment after Donald Trump literally fucking pulled Zelensky to the table to bully him and yell at him. And then also got duped by Vladimir Putin, who dangled like a potential ceasefire negotiation in front of him. And then made Donald Trump embarrass our fucking proxy. Oh, yeah. Why would China care? Also, China brokered the Saudi-Iran deal, driving wave of reconciliation, says Wong. I mean, there's a difference here. The reason why they did this is because it's beneficial for both parties for them to no longer war over Yemen. Tensions between Kyiv and Washington have risen in 2025 after Trump's return to office. A tense meeting between Trump and Zelensky in the Oval Office late in February coincided with a temporary pause in U.S. military assistance. That was insane. By contrast, perceptions of Germany have improved significantly this year. Leadership approval of Berlin has reached a record high of 62%, despite Germany's more cautious stance in the war's early months. Approval of Russia's remains negligible, 1%, while China continues to receive low ratings, 8%, as it has since the war began. Despite sharp disapproval of U.S. leadership, most Ukrainians still view Washington as having a meaningful role to play in the resolving the conflict. 70% believe the U.S. should play a significant role in peace talks, in line with views towards EU countries, 75%, and the UK, 71%. Although some negotiations have recently taken place in Turkey, 55% of Ukrainians supported significant involvement, notably lower. The only ones screaming Slava Ukraine is the Turks. Again, if you're saying Ukraine is a responsibility to start the war with Russia, you're also saying Palestine is a responsibility to start the war with Israel. Is this the exact same situation minus who backs them? Minus who backs them? Who backs them, I think, is a pretty fucking big deal, don't you think? Donald Trump could quite literally end Israel's actions, as many American presidents have, with one fucking phone call. Donald Trump can't make a million phone calls and get Vladimir Putin to do his bidding. So, no, it's not the fucking same situation. It's not the same situation at all. Having said that, if you're looking at it from the most reductive lens, a much larger country pummeling a smaller country, because Ukraine and Russia is two sovereign states fighting one another, okay? One party is obviously overwhelmingly in the wrong and doing the wrong, okay? The other party is simply defending itself. Then, yeah, on that front, yes, Israel versus the Palestinian children that are being fucking slaughtered with regular frequency is... it has some similarities, yes. One is an irredentist act from a foreign adversary. The other is a foreign ally, which has decided to do whatever the fuck it wants and can simply do whatever the fuck it wants to a country it is the belligerent occupier of already. It's like saying India versus Pakistan is like Israel, Palestine. It's the dumbest shatters, yeah. You can simply force Russia to stop by invading them. Dude, why didn't America think of that? That seems like a brilliant idea. You can make your allies who have entertained the comforts only because they're your permanent allies do things. You can't do that to an adversary. An adversary with nukes that has designed his entire nuclear arsenal around fighting back against America. Unless you think ban all trade. I mean, sure. I great. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I want it to be fucking done to Israel as well, but they did already do that. That's why Donald Trump is entertaining secondary tariffs to India now, because India is used as like a way for Russian oil to enter the global market. Don't siege Stalingrad, just take it. The definition of world war is when two great powers directly fight, for your information. There is no world war in the current stage because World War II ended with a nuclear bomb. That is the reason why there is no more world war, unless we get to an environment where we just open up the permission structure to entertain nuclear holocaust. It's just, mini nukes, tactical nukes. It's fine. It's like a baby nuke that was launched against a country that doesn't have nukes. You know, that type of shit. My point is, Ukraine isn't at fault for what Russia does. When did I say Ukraine is at fault? What do you think? I think that Ukraine's just standing there looking hot. Is that what you think I'm doing? I'm not saying that. Ukraine is not at fault. Why the fuck would Ukraine be at fault? Russia is the one who invaded. That's an entirely different conversation, which I'm not even entertaining at all. Ukrainian children are also slaughtered and you don't fucking talk about it? No, I do. I do talk about it. He saw AI video of you saying things. Average American poli-sci majors. I don't really believe there were easy multiple off-ramps for Ukraine to settle before now, as any areas under Russian control basically get butchered. No, there were. It wouldn't have been an easy off-ramp, and Russia certainly might not have even entertained it for a long enough time. This is true, right? There is no assurance that Russia would not have continued its military incursion into Ukraine. They very well could have done that, okay? Just like Israel did. But my argument always was, okay, so you're back to square one, but you should always entertain a ceasefire. And at that point, if it could have been crafted and followed through on, then additional land grabs that Russia engaged in would not have happened. Anyway, how can you expect to negotiate if you can't trust your enemy to not reinvade? There was a ceasefire and Russia broke it. I mean, here, I'll give you a great example. Hamas. Did you see me yell at Hamas for doing a ceasefire, even though I also said Israel is most likely going to violate it? No, I didn't say that. You want to know why I didn't say that? Because I'm not fucking stupid and bloodthirsty. You're yelling at Ukraine for Russia violating the ceasefire? Wait, what? No, I'm not. I think a lot of you guys simply want me to say, like, there is no peace for there's no opportunity for a ceasefire, and that we need to like invade Russia or something. Okay? No, you're talking about the second round of negotiations under Trump. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the first negotiations that took place when Biden was president. That's not what I'm talking about. Analysis. Putin's claim that war on Ukraine is the target Nazis is absurd. Here's why. What is this? This is my analysis too. It's so fucking stupid. I've never lent credence to Putin's idiotic claim that like he was denazifying Ukraine. I don't know why you're sending this to me. I've actively made fun of this idiotic argument, which is, of course, the same argument that fucking Israel also tried to launch. Oh. Hopes for a quick entry to NATO, EU fade further. Ukraine has long expressed a desire to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is seen by many. This was never going to happen. It was always a non-starter, and every single fucking European ally, including the United States of America, knew that it was a non-starter, and they just actively lied about it in the media, while simultaneously sometimes being truthful. Russia has the world's weirdest Nazis look at Dugin. No, I know. But also, look at ACP. We got some weird ass fucking nationalists ourselves. Why? Why can't it happen? Well, look at Ukraine right now. Why does not Ukraine and Georgia get accepted into EU or NATO? Why can't Georgia or Ukraine get accepted into EU or NATO? That's the only way to survive, it seems. This is where you have to assume that the opposition, no matter how bloodthirsty, still has like some semblance of logic in the way that they behave. They do not want to be encircled by the enemy. Why can't Cuba or Canada and Mexico join a Chinese military alliance? Yeah, it's similar to that. You don't know, but what you're talking about this. Ukraine will be in NATO the same year that Turkey will join. You mean the same year Turkey will join the EU? So why didn't they invade the Baltics or Finland when they were floating NATO? Well, because Finland did the NATO thing expertly. They joined only after they realized that Russia did not have the capacity to fucking also open up a new front. That's why. Before the invasion of Ukraine, Finland had not joined NATO at all. It was not something that was entertained. There was a blanket neutrality. Now Finland has to do 5% GDP. So good luck. Good luck to the Finnish chatters on Americanizing the Finlandization of NATO. I NATOize Finland. Finland has been taking advantage of us for years. That's right. Believe it. It's time for Finland to no longer take advantage of us. You're an American talking to an American audience that has at least a small chance to influence our government to stop enabling genocide. We as Americans are not enabling Russia's imperialist expansion. All of our politicians already hate Russia, but they love Israel. Chatters want you to expend equal coverage of Ukraine for literally no political gains. Chatters don't understand that. No, but I have also covered Ukraine. Of course, I've covered Israel far more than I've covered Ukraine because we have far more involvement. And we have also far more power over ending the bloodshed in Gaza than we do over ending the bloodshed in Ukraine. You left Austin Show's birthday. Exactly. In Finland, we're literally Americafying. Our right-wing government is following Trump's policy step by step. Help us. No, it's over. What is this? In Russia, you would be arrested. Von der Leyen tells a protester as he's being arrested.
They can be happy that they are in a free country like Finland, where the free speech is a right, where they have not any restrictions. If they would be in Moscow,
Bro, this is literally this, dude. Europe is so America coded, dude. This is a very American moment. That's awesome. This is like, we see this happening in America basically every day. Like they'll just like arrest someone. They'll arrest like Mahmoud Khalil, right, for the crime of criticizing Israel. And I'll be like, this is so fucked up. This is so unacceptable. And chatters will be like, ha! If you had this kind of commentary, you'd be arrested in China, brother. And it's like, dude, what? I'm talking about a dude who literally just got arrested and saying this is not supposed to happen in America. And now you want me to be arrested for even criticizing the fucking arrest. Bro, it gets worse. Not just any protester or candidate running for European Parliament elections 2024 in opposition. This took place in the middle of elections. A total silence from the so-called free media. Monday will be sitting in court in Helsinki for a peaceful protest. I mean, I don't know who the dude is that got arrested, okay? Whenever people say stuff like this, it just like freaks me out a little bit. The account that posted that video is a freak. Yeah, I can totally see that. I don't know. I don't know who the guy is that got arrested. That doesn't really make it any better. It's still hilarious and incredibly hypocritical to just be like, yeah, they'd arrest you in Moscow for this. It's like, okay, well, you're arresting him here. Radical steps must be taken to force Putin to partake in good faith negotiations. In my opinion, U.S. peacekeeping troops, including BRICS countries, must enter Ukraine and force Putin into a position where he has to choose either negotiate or attack the peacekeepers. Yeah, Trump could end it with one phone call. Yeah, by releasing Ryan Ruth. Exactly. If only he unleashed Ryan Ruth and 1,000 NATO-trained Afghan soldiers.
what the heck?
Oh, we got South Park. Anyway, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I just don't think anything good is going to come out of this. I think we're so cooked. I think everyone is cooked. At this point, it's essentially guaranteed that Zelensky will be replaced by an ultra-nationalist, ultra-right-wing government, isn't it? Either he is ousted during the war or after, because he's already incredibly popular before the war started. His army was slated to be wiped out in 2020 elections. I can't imagine the Ukrainians have let that go of that animosity, especially now after years of war. No, the reason why they didn't like Zelensky was because he was too, like, pro-Russia. He seemingly was more on the side of, like, managing the relationship with Russia. That's why Ukrainians didn't like him. And then they actually liked him for a while when he was anti-Russia. I mean, also they did literally elect him because he was, because he was like the seemingly anti-corruption candidate. And some people believe that he would be able to manage the relationship with Russia. And then when he was like, obviously after Russia invaded, people did not have an issue with the way he was posturing. I think a major factor playing here is Zelensky's committing to a policy of non-mobilization earlier when they saw success on the field, Kherson. But as the war dragged and tactically Ukraine went on the back foot, the government started using methods of mobilization which were honestly hated by everyone, like plainclothes officers exiting out of a van and beating you to shit, then loading you up and conscripting you is wild. Yeah, like there's a level of that you can get away with, I guess, in Russia, but you can't really get away with that in Ukraine if like the entire point of Ukrainian sovereignty is that you don't do the Russian shit in Ukraine. And that's why you want to be a Western facing nation. So obviously a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I don't want this. This is fucking ridiculous. That's why there's chatters in here that are like fucking hiding from the Ukrainian plainclothes officers so that they don't get like mobilized by force. Zelensky won 75% because he was anti-corruption. He became extremely unpopular before the war due to numerous corruption scandals. Yeah, the Panama Papers. At no point was he widely unpopular because he was not sufficiently pro-Ukraine. No, I'm saying that a lot of Zelensky's critics, I already said that. I said that Zelensky won as the anti-corruption guy. And then it turns out he was also corrupt, which people weren't very happy with. But most importantly, there was also a lot of criticism against Zelensky because they thought that he would be a moderating force and he wasn't aggressive enough against Russia, against Russian incursions. There were definitely people in Ukraine that were against Zelensky because they thought he was too naive. But also, what's really interesting about this is the fact that Western press is like covering this stuff, Ukrainian disapproval over continuing the war, and also not even continuing the war, continuing to fight, continuing to defend Ukraine, because I think that's the appropriate way to talk about this. But it does seem like while most Ukrainians are ready to see the fighting end, few expect it to happen soon. Ukrainians see key roles for the EU, UK, and the US to play in bringing the war to an end, even though public approval of Washington is cratered. This year has also seen another decisive shift in hopes for a quick ascension to NATO, with now 32% expecting to be accepted in the next decade. As diplomatic efforts drag on, the future of Ukraine's war effort and its relationship with the international community remain deeply uncertain. It was always a fuck situation, made infinitely worse by having the absolute worst ally on the planet, the United States of America. Okay? That's it. America has consistently discarded its allies over and over and over again. I didn't even think that they could do that to a whole ass country. Like, they do it to like Kurdish militia movements here and there. Sure. But that's not a whole ass sovereign nation state, man. It's crazy. Pouring in arms isn't going to bring about a solution. It's only going to prolong and exaggerate this war, Corbyn said. We might be in for years and years of war in Ukraine in 2022. How Democratic streamers like Destiny are taking on MAGA and Charlie Kirk. Donnie O'Sullivan, friend of the show, did a piece on the debate sphere, I guess.
Yeah, I just got escorted from Kirk, baby.
We're in Tampa, Florida for Turning Point USA's annual Student Action Summit. TPUSA is a voter-driving juggernaut for the Republican Party, led by 31-year-old Charlie Kirk.
They're happy. That's why, they haven't been on social media.
But this year's event will be menaced by something called the Un-F America Tour, started by a group of progressive influencers and organizers, including the massively popular streamer Destiny.
This is the all roads lead to Rome thing, right? So he can do the exact same behavior you said that Biden couldn't get away with doing.
They want to bring progressive debate to Kirk's doorstep. But first, they have to get in.
So Turning Point has cancelled all of Un-F America's credentials.
You know what's funny? I'm debating Charlie Kirk at Dartmouth University next month.
Now they're trying to sneak in Destiny so he can debate inside here.
I like that these guys are like, this is our weapon. This is our secret weapon. If only Destiny will just like engage in spirited debate against Charlie Kirk. If only we can do this. If we can unleash what is he going to do? Fuck Charlie Kirk and film it? Like, what do you mean? If only we can get compromising footage of Destiny sucking Charlie Kirk's cock and filming himself in the process, then we can just destroy this. We can destroy this whole charade. Yeah, he's going to do a revenge porn on Charlie Kirk.
Alright, he's in. So Destiny has made it inside the building, and we'll see how long he lasts.
There's a major streamer named Destiny, who's a Democratic liberal streamer. He appears to be debating Myron Gaines.
God, these debate clowns act like getting a center-right neolib in a debate is equivalent to sneaking a Dragon Slayer into the den of the bees. I know. Ugh. Yeah, he's gonna agree with Charlie Kirk that the left is actually responsible for Kamala losing, and also that he's gonna agree with Charlie Kirk on the Israel stuff. He's also gonna agree with Charlie Kirk on like 20% to 30% of Trump's deportation policies.
He's more of a right-wing red pill guy. They're both sort of creatures of like internet trolldom, but it should be a lot of fun. It's like blood sports. It's like watching a cockfight, effectively.
We love to see it, though.
We love to see it.
Oh,
it's
God.
Great.
Oh, gross. Oh, my God. He's going to agree with them on white people being able to say the N-word.
We are at Student Action Summit. We got Destiny and Myron here today. Have a little friendly conversation.
Oh, yeah,
man.
Good to see you, bro. Okay. Young people may be tuning out the news, but this new form of live, provocative political debate is blowing up online. Its cultural significance is something well known to Kirk because he's part of it.
Oh, it's democratic socialism. It's completely different.
This question. I love this question.
And
I could talk about socialism for hours.
Hello, everyone. I am Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and I am surrounded by 20 woke college kids.
Under a tent with the words, "Prove me wrong," Kirk brought online debater culture directly to hundreds of college campuses during the last election cycle.
We have a problem in Black America. The biggest problem is not racism. It's the lack of dads.
He's like, the biggest problem is not racism because obviously I'm racist. So that would be like admitting that, my kind of thinking is what's wrong, what's like held Black America back. He just stole Steven Crowder's whole flow. No, I know.
When exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the force.
Hold on, no, so tell me when heartbeat.
I don't know.
And while he uses it to make viral content, its primary goal is to register Gen Z to vote MAGA.
I love the fact
This kind of stuff is so fucking rudderless, okay? It's just, if you're doing blood sport for the sake of blood sport, like, Charlie has a clear agenda, okay? His goal is to promote right-wing talking points. His goal is to make the left look weak and humiliate liberals and the left alike, so he can make people agree with his worldview. He can make his worldview look stronger in comparison. If the inverse of that on the opposing front are rudderless neoliberals who constantly find themselves catering to the white nativist talking points in an effort to, I guess, like, secure a larger crowd, then you're not really fucking debating this person. You're just waiting out the time until you agree with him, maybe 3 years down the line. But at that point, he will have moved past the advocacy, just like what Kamala Harris did with Donald Trump. What is this? Yeah, South Park is like shitting on Charlie Kirk too, I guess. We all laugh at this, but all these freaks were having closed-door meetings with heads of government, including head of ICE, that fucking pig, to expand all facilities into alligator Alcatraz-type places. I have proof if you want to chat about it. No, I know. These guys are, like, actively in government as well. Under no circumstance do you agree with these motherfuckers unless they are agreeing with you, okay? And even if they're agreeing with you, it's important to just be like, wait a minute. Why is there agreement here? What's going on here, you know?
like that. We are now becoming we're becoming the cool kids now.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's what we're doing here today. It's an open mic.
I think that you push a danger.
Is Destiny getting popularity? I would have thought that he was falling off since the Sex Pest stuff. Admittedly, I don't follow him. I don't think so. I mean, I think like these kinds of hits are not that consequential. And I know this from my own personal experience. I think that like getting mainstream, getting this kind of like mainstream hit is it's a blip. I don't know why Donnie's platforming him, to be honest. I mean, because he's there, and the reality of the matter is like Donnie literally covers some of the most insane freaks online. He covers every single person.
Agenda.
It's a strategy that those behind UNF America say the DNC has been absent to counter.
I hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very, very strategically minded.
At an event organized by the UNF America crew down the street from the convention center, both conservatives and liberals packed into a pub to eat chicken wings, drink beer, and watch conservative voices try to take on Destiny.
Have you ever fired an AR-15? Yeah. So you fired a 5.56. The mathematical odds of him surviving that are infinitesimally small.
They're infinitesimally high if it misses him or grazes his ear. I mean,
Charlie Kirk's been doing this a long time, more than 10 years. Why has it taken the left so long to catch up and still hasn't caught up?
Republicans vertically are very well integrated when it comes to making sure that they're winning elections. Yeah. Right? There's the people who in 2020 they thought the election was stolen in every state basically. Yeah. But they still showed up to vote next time. So something is happening there where they're really big on going out and winning elections. And I think that that shows at every single level, to where when people are organizing or when people are creating alternative media networks, whether you're talking Tim Pool, influencing other ones like Joe Rogan.
Why is Donnie having Minnie Epstein on a show? He probably has no fucking idea that this is an active sex pest, to be fair. Like, are they going to cover sex scandals? I doubt it.
Or trying to do things with college kids like Charlie Kirk. They're making these events and they're gathering all these different people. For Charlie Kirk, it's school kids, but the single focus is winning elections. It's incredibly important. And somehow I feel like on the left, I don't know how this happened online. Maybe it's because we tend to be younger or whatever, but somehow the party's messaging apparatus, it feels like it's gotten hijacked from people by people who won't vote for your candidates, which I think is incredibly destructive.
Did the Democrats have anything like this?
Nothing. And I will say, like, Charlie Kirk is honestly one of the best organizers of our generation. And I think that, you know, as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I believe that what he's doing has worked. And that's why I'm here to replicate what he's doing. I'm not here to, you know, disrupt Charlie Kirk's events. I'm here to say that there are alternative ideas and that we need to build the same thing that he has, because he is good at it.
Z. Cohen Sanchez.
If this is the Unfuck America tour, Sean the Black covered this months ago when they were under heat for being racist, they replaced Dean and Harry Sasson with Destiny. Z, the other organizers, a fucking scammer, Lamau. Wait, really? I don't have a lot of confidence in a lot of the people in like the debate sphere because I ultimately feel like he's talking about you, Law. Wait, what do you mean? Who's talking about me? What is this?
It's because we tend to be younger or whatever, but
This?
somehow the party's messaging apparatus, it feels like it's kind of hijacked from people by people who won't vote for your candidates, which I think is
Oh, he is. Yeah, he is talking about me here. Yeah. This is his
incredibly
like
destructive.
this is his main gripe. He thinks I'm not like dick riding the Democrats. Not understanding that like I'm not in the business of dick riding Democrats. Why the fuck would I dick ride the Democrats? He's literally saying he wants to be a Charlie Kirk for the Democratic Party in a piece about how Charlie Kirk is a charlatan. He is a masquerading suit that is a fleshlight for Republican messaging. That's the whole point. That's not what I want to do. Yeah, he's literally saying we don't need better candidates, we need better voters. The reality is that that is a message that I think media executives will entertain, though, because that is precisely the kind of message that they want to put out there. If they want to continue losing, or maybe every now and then marginally securing victories, then great. I'm not in the business of that. I don't care. What Charlie Kirk is doing doesn't actually work. It works because there's endless sums of money being thrown at it by billionaires to spread propaganda. It's not just that Charlie Kirk is such a genius. That's part of it. The vertical integration that he also mentioned is something that I talk about quite frequently, which is that the propaganda apparatus on the Republican side is directionally aligned, and therefore all of the independent outlets that are supposedly independent are being funded by the same backers that fund the Republican Party and also Fox News, and therefore Charlie Kirk can go in and out of mainstream circles to gain significant more prominence in times of need. He can also consistently farm donations from wealthy Republican donors. Charlie goes on Fox and Friends. He goes on all of the Fox News, all of the different programs on Fox News. Same with all of these other guys, like even the PragerU guys. Even no-name PragerU guys have they get mainstream opportunities with regular frequency. Whereas there is no equivalent on the independent left media side. There's not even equivalences on the independent liberal media side. Like Brian Tyler Cohen, Midas Touch, Harry Sasson. These guys are not like regularly being uplifted by CNN or MSNBC. No matter how big of a freak you are, if you are an independent content creator that is right-wing, you will get elevated by the Republican media ecosystem. Okay? The Unfuck America thing is so fucked because the Dems on the team are just right-wing libs who are also TERFs. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about like the Unfuck America tour. I am so out of touch with whatever the fuck that is. And I know that like TikTok debates are what pops off, especially for an entire generation of people who want to consume political content. I think that it is ultimately unproductive, especially if you are rudderless, especially if you have no like ideological backing, if your politics are not guided by empathy, if you're not predisposed with policy, and you would rather defend the party. I do not care about defending the party. I care about defending good policies, no matter who is the person, no matter who is saying the actual good policies, who's defending the actual good policies. Ultimately, a lot of these people are, like in the case of Destiny, if he wasn't so purely spite driven, I think he could continuously be a debate mercenary that sees a tremendous amount of success. But I think because of his like overwhelming amount of spite for like everyone he thinks fucked him over in his career and like kept him down, which is ironic because he should look in the mirror. That's the only motherfucker who's like fucked himself over. If he didn't do all of that stuff, all that snarky shit, then he probably could be like a decent debate mercenary. But even then, he would be just like another Harry Sasson type, right? Only defending, and this is before we talk about him being an active sex pest and you know, defending shit like white people saying the N-word, Kyle Rittenhouse, like numerous other unconscionable things. Racist and sex pest, and you think he's good at debating? No, I'm saying that a lot of these people are fucking cynical. A lot of these people that would prop up any media personality would cynically prop him up, but he gets in his own way by being a fucking horrible monster. Yeah, demanding that white supremacists mow down BLM protesters because it might hurt the chances of the Democrats winning the election. There's a lot of blame to put on the Democrats pushing out influencers who are left-leaning, though. No, I mean, the Democrats are always going to actively push aside leftist influencers because the Democrats don't actually want to influence people. The Democrats don't actually want to make change. That's the unfortunate problem. That's why I say, no matter how independent or how far right, even Nick Fuentes has very little daylight between himself and Donald fucking Trump in especially their domestic policy, right? Like, there is less daylight between Nick Fuentes and Donald Trump than there is between, like, me and fucking Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders is never becoming president. Bernie Sanders' voice is not a prominent one within the power structure of the Democratic Party. Unfortunately. Do you understand? Like, it would be akin to Bernie fucking winning the presidency. And Bernie has no chance within the power structure of the Democratic Party to win the presidency. They don't fucking like Bernie Sanders' worldview. They actively attacked him and undermined him. The Democrats were more scared openly about Bernie Sanders winning the primaries than Donald Trump winning the presidency. Okay? I still remember the CEO of Goldman Sachs writing an article about it. So for that reason, until the Democratic Party changes and actually becomes an active fighting party, a party that actually cares about its citizens, a party that actually cares about its voters, a party that is actually predisposed with like improving people's lives, a party that wants to advocate for good policies that do genuinely improve people's lives and not just like the status quo party that is marginally better than the increasingly worse Republican Party, there's not going to be this kind of cohesive media push from independent circles. And at most, they'll just fucking push for like Midas touch to be dominant in the media landscape.
Did the Democrats have anything like this?
Nothing. And I will say, like, Charlie Kirk is honestly one of the best organizers of our generation. And I think that, you know, as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I believe that what he's doing has worked. And that's why I'm here to replicate what he's doing. I'm not here to, you know, disrupt Charlie Kirk's events. I'm here to say that there are alternative ideas and that we need to build the same thing that he has, because he is good at it.
Z. Cohen Sanchez has worked more than a decade on Democratic campaigns.
There's no reason why we can't do this. This is not very expensive to do. We have so many PACs on the Democratic side raising millions of dollars, right? We are not a big PAC. We haven't even raised $1 million yet. And we're able to get all of these creators essentially anywhere that Charlie is. And so that's what we really want the Democratic Party to do, is we want to have them to start investing in these movements.
Is the DNC supporting this?
No, not currently.
Why not?
If Ken Martin's watching this, text me back. But really, I mean, I think it's disappointing that we haven't been able to see the DNC really get off the ground since the election, because I think a lot of things have happened internally that have been distractions to the actual ground game that we need right now.
No, our motto is when they go low.
Based on what that woman is saying, isn't it analogous to them saying they need a Joe Rogan to the left, aka not understanding what the root of the problem is? Yes. I think she just wants to be that person for the Dems. And the Dems are the Democratic Party is so fucking delusional that they won't even like throw a bone to people like that who want to be like, who are begging to be loyal servants of the Democrats. Not that I'm saying that if the Dems also fucking funded this operation that seemingly has decided to go with like, an active sex pest with numerous court cases launched against them, who with regular frequency will say like insane freak shit, like celebrating the deaths of, you know, the children of Trump voters in the natural disaster that took place, in the floods that took place in Texas, or, you know, white people's right to be able to say the N-word, or ethical child pornography. Like things like that are so insanely out of touch. Destiny is a demon of the internet. He cannot exist in the real world in this way. Okay? Those are all the things that he has done. And that's not even scratching the fucking surface. This is before we talk about like his justifications and his unlimited support to Israel's genocide. Going to Israel with Eyal Yacobi, or was it Eyal Yacobi? I think it was. and mocking rape victims, or going to fucking Israel and telling the IDF, the Israeli occupying force soldiers, that they should just like, if they're going to do sex crimes, they should just like hide it, which is doubly ironic. Now, there's a million different things, but yeah, the point is, you talk like a rapper in an interview who talk about King Von. That's so funny. Yeah, dude, keep coping. He's yeah, I'm so scared. That's what I meant. I do love people who like try to present Destiny as this like scary individual as well, and not just like a repulsive freak. Yeah. Yeah, dude, you're talking about him like you're talking about King Von, dude. Motherfucker went to Israel to defend the genocide, bro. What do you mean? You're just a weirdo creep. Elon Levy, D went with, not that freak A.L. Jacoby. Elon Levy, which is another freak, and was formerly the spokesperson for the Israeli state.
We go high.
For Destiny, it's a ground game that must reflect the online culture he and millions of young Americans are part of, one that is often characterized by un-PC language, insults, and crude humor, like this tweet Destiny sent poking conservatives by saying the kids who died in the Texas flood were proof that God doesn't exist.
The tweets you sent about the kids in Texas would probably disqualify you, or would probably have somebody in the upper levels of the Democratic Party say, okay, we'll never work with this guy again.
Yeah.
Do you regret sending those tweets?
I think they have to get over it. I don't regret them. I love poking the bear on the right. I feel like Republicans are so good at owning the space. Republicans do this thing where they say, you know...
It is issues with jokes you've made. Yeah, that's the other side of the story, that he's just like so goddamn annoying with the whole, like, the guy who literally actively defends white people saying the N-word will like freak the fuck out because I said cracker, and then his stupid ass fucking audience will try to defend that principle as though it's like even remotely defensible. It is such whiny loser crybaby shit too. He literally constantly doxes people, points them to Kiwi Farms threads. He's disgusting. Yeah. He is the perfect defender of Israel in that regard. He is very fucking conservative coded, very reactionary in general, very similar to like the entitled, arrogant behavior that you hear from Israel when they're like, why you not like Israel? We are killing babies. We are killing children, you say? Okay, those children are Hamas. You are anti-Semitic. We must deplatform. You are anti-Semitism. Like he basically does that. Yeah, like that's why you heard one of his fans be like, you called Mayor Pete a rat, as like a big point of contention against me. Like, as much as I entertain edgy humor, it's usually not against like defenseless children. You know what I mean? It's just not. Like the jokes that I have that are fucking edgy are the same type of jokes that like the right wingers get mad at, which is usually making fun of America as an institution. You know, making fun of the American government, making fun of dominant forces in American society. I'm punching up, no matter how edgy it is. I'm not fucking punching down.
He's legal again, and we can joke about anything. But when they say anything, they really just mean like immigrants and black people, right? Because if you make fun of anything on their side, they lose their minds.
I guess is your point that, you know, always trying to take the high ground is clearly not working for Democrats?
One of the things that conservatives...
Yeah. In order to beat Republicans, we must become more racist. Does anybody like this guy? I'm asking earnestly. It's just the fucking grossest people. Or if there's anyone that's like normal that likes him, they probably saw like a TikTok clip where he doesn't look like a gross little freak pervert. That's probably it. But like the main community is some of the worst fucking freaks. They basically operate like a bunch of cyber stalkers that have no real interest in politics at all and just basically do his bidding, whatever it is.
Stumbled into accidentally, because I think Donald Trump's an idiot, even politically, but they stumbled into this thing where people started to get confused because of what the right and left looked like, and I think they think that you need an extremist platform in order to win elections, but what you really need, I think, is just extremist messaging. I think that's what you need.
Back inside, the packed event giving the Uneth America organizers hope there will be appetite for similar debates on college campuses this fall.
I do 100 hours of this a semester. 100 hours. In addition to 2 hours of podcasting radio, I mean, the physical crowds are now 3,000-4,000 people almost every time we do this.
And so the plan for this semester is Charlie Kirk shows up at campuses all across the country. And
before I started watching Twitch, all I heard of Destiny was he's a liberal that likes to debate Republicans. Most normal people don't know how repulsive he is. Yeah. I think like what he doesn't realize is when he gets into the spotlight a little too much and the light shines back at him even a little bit, like when he has to operate under the microscope that he's placed upon someone like myself, for example, when people find out about what he says all the fucking time and he can't help himself, that he basically wears like a badge of honor, like no matter how edgy it gets, no matter how gross he gets, he's seen as like no matter he in his own community is seen as like a beacon of truth and honesty whenever he gets like more edgy. But to the average person, that just comes across as like a repulsive freak. Why you hate on sexual choice when you preach acceptance for exactly that? Do you think I preach acceptance for fucking filming people without their consent in the process of having sex with them? Are you fucking insane? Maybe you didn't know that. I don't know. Yeah, another Destiny fan was arrested for child porn too. That's the other thing. It was really funny. I looked at the dude's Twitter and his last tweet was like retweeting something against me. This isn't getting enough attention. A close personal friend of Destiny was arrested for possession of over 300 files of child sexual abuse material. The culprit was a regular in Destiny's Discord and talks about ethical CP. I mean, it's not that crazy when you think about it. It's like expected. A huge part is also that in the process of being an edgy little shit, he's not funny at all. Like Nick Mullins says, watch it too, and it's fine because he's actually funny. Yeah. Yeah, judge me by my enemies, boys. All my ops is pedophiles. I know a lot of people on here were mutuals with Jared Kelly, especially in the Destiny orbit. Well, he stopped posting a few months ago, and I get curious. Turns out he's a pedophile. His username on here is Blanco Flaco. What is this? The dude who debates the consumption of child porn to stop pedophiles and use the N-word. Yikes. The argument is that CP should be distributed to pedos if this helps reduce child rapes. Are you pro-child rapes? Who's making the CP idiot? He explains very clearly in this video that the research said you could find people that were previously abused and get their consent to use their already existing material and offer them compensation for it. That's fucking insane. Stopping child rape is insane. This is the only way that this fucking entire audience argues, by the way. Here, I'll give you an example. Okay? This is like saying the only way to stop child rape is by killing the children that were raped. Okay? Just a fucking ridiculous claim. And then you say, I don't want the children who were raped to be killed. What the fuck? And then you turn around and go, oh, so you want child rapes to continue. No, you just made a ridiculous argument. That doesn't mean that I think the second part of that is also good. Oh, I guess you don't want to stop child rape. The only way to do that is by allowing child rape to be fucking serialized and processed and sent to people. That's a ridiculous argument. And not only is it a ridiculous argument, but it's also like in the process of making this fucking ridiculous argument, you just come across as fucking insane. That is the method though. That is how these motherfuckers always operate. Always. Using child porn, feeding into that disgusting market is insane. There are far better therapies to use instead of giving into their horrific abuses. And as a former child victim, no one is ever going to consent to it. It is the most traumatic shit a person can live through. Do you understand the concept of a hypothetical scenario? Couldn't even write hypothetical correctly. If distributing CP was effective in stopping child rape, should it be done? The answer is obviously yes. Otherwise, you are a pro-child rape monster. The question is, this is effective or not is removed from the question. Why feed into some sicko's fantasy you aren't curing them? If they're already in prison, they can't molest anyone. This is legit the most insane conversation I've ever had. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, this is a good way to analyze it too. Bro said, hypothetically speaking, if you eat your own shit, could you stop world hunger? Wouldn't you eat it? The answer should be yes. What are you, pro-world hunger or something? When you are making a hypothetical, you have to at least make the analog work, okay? Like in a hypothetical scenario, you can't just like have something be just as violent or more abhorrent than the original fucking crime that you're trying to stop. Hypothetical. Abstraction away from reality to such an extent that literally anything can be argued. Exactly. It's like Israel does this quite a bit. Israel defenders do this quite a bit. When they're like, oh, wow. What if that baby had an RPG? What then? Shouldn't you kill the baby? What if the baby had a rocket launcher? Okay, what if the baby had a fucking nuke? Like, what are you talking about? I guess at that point, you could just say, like, a Palestinian child could have had a tactical nuke that it was about to fucking blow up in the heart of Tel Aviv, I guess. Yeah, his major own was, if you say the N-word in the vacuum of space alone right before you die, who does it harm? I got you. That was the type of shit that you can, shocking, the CSAM distribution guy is one of your reply guys. No, this isn't the CSAM distribution guy. This is another guy. This is another one. I mean, we don't know if this guy is the CSAM distribution debater is one of my reply guys. Yes. All of his community are my reply guys. Yes. This isn't the CSAM guy. This is the CSAM debater. Remember when Ben Shapiro actually asked the question, if you say the N-word in the middle of nowhere to stop a nuke, would you do it to ChatGPT Lamau? Exactly. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is for a lot of debate lords, which Ben Shapiro is one of them.
You guys are going to be there too.
That's the goal. If we can raise enough money to get there, we absolutely will. People wonder why the youth vote shifted 9 points to the right.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason why. He's put the footwork in and we haven't.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that, at least in my experience, and I'm not saying certainly every single person is like this, but a lot of these guys that entertain the realm of debate don't actually have any like real politics whatsoever and are just simply invested in the blood sport of it all. And they debate for the sake of winning an argument. And that's it. And nothing else. They don't have any like real politics. They don't have any real interest. Everything that they do that comes across as though they're like moving in a direction where they want to change politics is also just to defend their legitimacy in the debate sphere, right? Like even the canvassing operations and shit can be seen in that same exact way, where it's like, well, I did canvassing. Like I did my work. I did canvassing. You know, I set up a group to do canvassing for the Democratic Party. Like that in and of itself is so you can just simply slam that in. And it's kind of funny because, I mean, I've done canvassing as well, but it doesn't really matter. A lot of his revenge porn came from his canvassing. Wait, really? Yeah, it's like saying you donated to a Palestinian charity over and over again to talk about your bona fides as a stalwart ally of the Palestinians while you're simultaneously engaging in efforts to deplatform every single fucking pro-Palestinian content creator and also consistently streamlining pro-Israeli propaganda, kind of like that. Savage moments from South Park's Got a Nut.
Fantasy buff. Hey, will you get out of here? I'm Christy Nome, head of Homeland Security.
Oh, she seems nice. Okay, very pretty.
Of security, I'll be leading the way. Freeze! I know it's tough doing what's hard, but we could use more men like you on this side.
No doubt that there are many, many Latinos in heaven.
Remember, only detain the brown ones. If it's brown, it goes down. Jesus, look out! The president's handing out bonuses to recruits that stand out, and I'm gonna recommend you for the next... Oh! Grab it! No more brownies in heaven. Hey, Satan!
I do legitimately think that the real world is like so fucked that it's impossible to appropriately parody. You know what I mean? Like how can you satirize an administration that is like actively doing basically the same shit that...
Boss? Got him! Mr. Mackey?
Yes, right here.
Have a seat, sir. What makes you want to work for immigration enforcement?
Well, you see, I got a nut.
All right, you're hired. Take this to the next station for your physical and orientation video.
Well, that's it?
You will now watch an orientation video featuring the Director of Homeland Security.
Welcome to the team, recruits. I'm Christy Nome, head of Homeland Security. Because detaining and questioning people is never easy. As the face of Homeland Security, I'll be leading the way. And together we'll make sure everyone is in this country legally.
I mean, it's real. Like, she did that. Like, she literally did kill her puppy. She actively shot her puppy in the fucking head and then dropped her in a fucking pile, like in a hole in the ground. And then she wrote about it in a book. Like, why do we know about that? We shouldn't know about that. We know about it because she wrote about it in a fucking book, dude.
Get out there and get them, recruits. Together we can make it happen.
Oh, yeah, she also killed a goat, too. That's true.
We hope you enjoyed the presentation. Please step through to the vehicles for your first raid.
Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. Lock and load, recruits. Prepare to raid.
Okay, everybody,
Oh! I have the full one. Do you want to watch the full one? I have like someone just uploaded the straight up entire episode. Being Power Christian Principle is fucking awesome. Okay, that's kind of funny.
Hey, what now? Are you looking for
I wish this was a joke, man. It'd be so much better if that specific thing wasn't. They're also taking. Problem with this, I like it. But the issue is Republicans are too stupid to understand that like he's the villain here. And what he's saying is an idiotic line of argumentation because it's a bar for bar thing that they're repeating from Charlie Kirk. Like these are all things that Charlie Kirk has said. So there is no way that Charlie nor the Republicans that watched this thought that he was a villain here until like something crazy happens to him. Okay. Republicans probably watched this and thought, oh, this is glazing Charlie.
Woke student totally pwned.
Women have it good in America, just like.
This is like Colbert Report. You know what I mean? Like it's supposed to satirize how fucking stupid Republicans are, but like Republicans unironically thought that that was representation. You know what I mean? Back in the day, people thought the Colbert Report was actually an accurate representation. Like finally, some real right-wing sentiment being expressed on the woke Comedy Central.
Black people do. Black people have everything handed to them.
This part I'm skipping it. We already saw this part. We saw this part already. Shut up.
Jeremiah 1:5 says
Leviticus, the Leviticus 9 through 8 is like bar for bar Charlie Kirk. That's the funniest thing that he always does, which is like, excuse me, guess what, dude? The Bible says I'm right. It's just so fucking stupid. Like, what do you mean? Oh, the Bible says you're right? Okay, great, dude. Cool. Yeah, oh my God, he liked it. He liked it.
to say what I do with my body. Let me ask you something.
He literally thinks, oh my God, he unironically thinks this is praise, bro. He's like, no, you own that douchebag, hypothetical, made up college student.
Oh my God.
The funniest thing about this South Park episode is going to be doing all this season. They listen to feedback. They're going to make sure conservatives can't pretend to enjoy it. Oh, for sure. This is a word for word quote. Dude, I'm telling you right now, man. I'm telling you right now. No, he's not even just like quote unquote owning it so it doesn't look silly, so he doesn't look mad. Okay? He's not owning it so he doesn't look mad and then people make fun of him. He's owning it because he thinks Cartman owned this woman. Like, he thinks this is praise for how spirited of a debater he is. I think he's not dumb enough to think it's praise. I think he recognizes it's a good media placement for him because conservatives are dumb enough to think Cartman makes good points in this episode. Who's he based on? No, I think he legitimately thinks this is good. I'm not even kidding when I say this. I think he legitimately thinks it's actually good. He probably thinks I'm so brilliant that, like, even when I'm memeified, they still make good arguments. They still put good arguments in the meme version of me's mouth. 100%. I'm telling you.
Damn, this guy's good.